Yes, sir.
Time now is 5:30. We call the Leesburg City Commission Meeting to order. Our invocation will be led by Reverend Dr. Erica Jasper, followed by invocation to the flag. Can we all rise?
Father God, Lord, we come before you. We thank you for this day. We thank you for your renewed mercies today, God. We pray, oh God, as we continue to conduct your business, oh God, today, that you would give us your wisdom, you will order our steps and direct our path. Continue to give us creative ideas tonight. And Lord, we thank you right now for our youth, oh God, for the baseball team, oh God. We ask that you would give them continued success on July 4th weekend, oh God. We just thank you right now for all things, oh God, that is pleasing in your sight, oh Lord. And we just thank you, God, for your continued protections. We ask that your angels would wrap yourselves around this city to make this a better place to live and to prosper and to grow for all citizens of this great city of Leesburg. These are the blessings that we ask in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Dr. Jasper. Tonight we have no proclamations. Under tab 3, we have a presentation by the Leesburg 12 and under majors baseball team who won the district tournament to qualify for the Cal Ripken State Tournament in West Palm Beach over the July 4th weekend. So we asked the players they would come. We have coaches that are here. We do have a certificate to present. Trash, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'm going to come in the middle and come up.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. It's my pleasure tonight to introduce the 12-year-old Majors baseball team. They won the district championship up in Bellevue the past about a week and a half ago. We did this about 2 years ago and stood in front of you and said we hadn't done it in 30 years, and now take COVID out of the mix last year because there wasn't a tournament. This group, the 10 of the 12 kids, have now done it back-to-back times. So we've done it 2 times in 30 years, and it's been with the same group. So good group, very respectful, very good sportsmanship, and a group of kids that the city can be proud of. So we are off to Palm Beach Gardens to take on the rest of the state of Florida. So we have 12 of them. We're going to introduce them now. Number 00, Jaden Lane. Number 1, Caden Wilcox. 2, Bryce Norfley. 3, Jackson Sestarsik. 4, Corey Swetnam. 5, Terrell Wells. 7, Noah Hepburn. 9, Tyson Rima. 10, Ryder Paulsgrove. 13, Blake McLean. 20, Xander Heyman. And 51, John Dunnigan. Coaches are Jeff Sestarsik, Corey Swetnam, and Josh McLean. One of them. The other 2 are working.
You need Travis?
Yeah. So we are fundraising right now to send the kids to the state tournament. So if there's anybody that would be interested, let us know. We do have we have a couple have really stepped up to plate already. With CPH has donated, and also Red Apple Media has cut a good check. So I know we'll be asking Al to open up the checkbook too a little bit. And anybody's interested, you can call me at the rec department.
Thank you, Travis, and to the coaches and the kids and the parents for supporting my youth, and makes Leesburg looks good when 2 years in a row to see our baseball teams really doing something great for Leesburg. And we support our youth, and whatever we can do as a city and the community, I hope that we all can take part. Thank you, Travis, for what you do. Presentation B is Ms. Tanya Porter Conley from the Boys and Girls Club, the Leesburg branch update.
Good evening. I'm Tanya Porter Conley from our Leesburg Boys and Girls Club branch. And I wanted to give you all an update about what's been going on at our club. Today was our first day of summer. Woo woo. We have a total of 41 children that is signed up for the program, and we actually had 24 to come in today. And so we're expecting a great time this summer. Our summer theme is heroes, superheroes, and so we're not just talking about the comic books and everything. We're talking about our local superheroes, like our mayors and our fire department and our police department and doctors and things of that sort. And I also would like to have one of our parents and one of our club members to talk about their experience at the Boys and Girls Club. So Ms. Saucier and Kirsten.
Hello, everyone. My name is Renita Soche. I'm actually born and raised right here in Leesburg. I actually was able to experience going to the Boys and Girls Club when I was her age. It has helped me out a lot due to having to work. We all have been in the middle of this pandemic. It's been hard. For our school-wise, we started off doing virtual learning at home. That didn't work very well. She's very active, so we had to put her back into school. She's my only child, so she does not have like other kids to be around, so she enjoys being at the Boys and Girls Club. I thank Ms. Tanya so much for allowing her to have a spot at the Boys and Girls Club. It has helped her grow a lot socially. She's very academically, inclined. She's very smart. She actually made, Youth of the Month last month for the Boys and Girls Club. So I really appreciate everyone that has been involved to make the Boys and Girls Club be available for me and other parents that need the extra care after school for the kids, and especially during the summer because I have to work. So I really appreciate it. What about you, young lady? You want to tell them about your experience? You shy? What's your favorite thing to do at the Boys and Girls Club? You gotta talk.
Make things.
Do what?
Play games.
Like what kind of games?
Uno.
Uno, and what else?
Pool.
And what about your friends?
They're nice and kind.
Yes, and you enjoy being with them?
Yes.
And being able to make new friends?
Yes.
Tell them thank you for having the Boys and Girls Club as a resource for you to be able to go and meet new friends.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And what's so funny is that as the Youth of the Month, they get chosen not just by the staff, but they also get chosen by her peers. And she had to wait until she turned 6 years old to be able to come to the club. And so on her birthday, she got to attend the Boys and Girls Club. And so that was a big feat for her. And also the thing that resonates with me with her is that she makes friends. She has that personality where she meets no strangers. And so for her to be the first one to volunteer to come out tonight, so that's why she's here tonight, because she's the one out of all of the 11 and 12 and 13-year-olds that volunteered to come tonight. And so we asked her mom if she would be able to come. So we want to thank you, Kirsten, for having the courage to come out and to let everybody know about your experience at the Boys and Girls Club. Thank you. And also, I also was going to have some talking points, but I'm going to let you guys just move right along. But I do have some books out front that talk about our what's called Tales of Tenacity and Triumph, our club member stories. And in the book, we have one of our very own, Kayla, that they featured in our yearly report. And it talks about her journey. And so I do have some available on the front desk if you all would like to have them. And before I go, I would just like to thank the City of Leesburg, the mayor, and everyone involved that's making it possible for us to be able to not only have a teen center, but also to have a place for our younger kids to be able to attend, a place that's safe for our parents, a place that they know that their kids can grow and actually start their dream to happen for whatever it is that they want to grow to do. So thank you guys so very much. Thank you for allowing me this time to come. And if you have any questions, I'm available in the back after the meeting. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you. Presentation 3 is from my Employee Service Award recognition. We have 3 outstanding employees, and I will turn it to our city manager and HR director. All right.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. We'd like to take a moment to recognize some of our employees and their milestones with the city. We're going to start off with Mr. Ricardo Snow. Ricardo has served the city and the Public Works Department for 5 years. The next one is Mr. Miles Carroll. Miles has served the city for 15 years in the gas department. And the last presentation is for Mr. Patrick Miller. He has been with the city for 25 years, serving the city in the Public Works Department.
Congratulations, everyone. Tab 4 is our public comment. This section is reserved for members of the public to bring up matters of concern or opportunities for praise. Issues brought up tonight will not be discussed in detail at this meeting. Issues will either be referred to the proper staff or will be scheduled for consideration at a future city commission meeting. Comments are limited to 3 minutes, please. Are there any public comments tonight? If you're here to talk about any of the items, please save those comments for other specific items. But these comments were for public, anything other than what's on the agenda tonight.
I'm here to try to find out about the sidewalks supposed to be put in Oak Drive,
Can you give us your name and address, sir?
904 Oak Drive.
Your name and address?
Howard Fay, 904 Oak Drive, Leesburg, Florida.
Thank you, sir.
I'd like to see some kind of a process, put the sidewalks in for the handicapped people and for the kids going to school. There's very few sidewalks on that one street.
And I think our city manager has
Yeah, I'll give the commission a brief update, because Mr. Fay's in a difficult spot there. About a year ago, the city applied for a pretty significant grant with FDOT to put in sidewalks, probably upwards of $500,000, to put in sidewalks pretty much in that whole corridor from Griffin down to 441, from Lee over to 27, if you will, and in that whole Beverly Shores Elementary School area. The difficult spot is we haven't received word on that grant yet. It's still pending. It's still out. So hopefully we will receive it, and then we can get sidewalk in that corridor. The problem with Mr. Fay is if we go in there and we just put in, our funds are slightly limited. We generally budget around 75,000 to 100 grand a year on either new sidewalk or sidewalk repair. If we go in and we stick that money into just that one section there in Oak, it becomes insignificant. So we get kind of sidewalk that leads to nowhere, and really doesn't help the corridor, and then takes away from our ability to repair. So we'll continue to keep an eye on it. We respond to Mr. Fay as much as we can. I know he's had some other lighting issues and those type of things.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So Al, once we get word, do we have a priority list? Can he be at the top of the priority list? Has he been really?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. Any other public comment?
Mr. Mayor, gentlemen of the commission, clerk, and city manager, my name is Ned Bowers. I'm founder and president of Skybolt Aerospace Fasteners here in Leesburg. Skybolt was founded in 1982, has been located at the Leesburg International Airport for over 20 years. We manufacture specialty fasteners for aviation and aerospace markets. The Department of Transportation publishes useful information on economic drivers for airports in Florida. Our Aviation District 5 is by far the highest economic engine in Florida. The data I've compiled says a lot as to where Leesburg is in the mix of local airports.
Excuse me, Mr. Ned, not to interrupt you, but that's going to be on tab number 3.
Yes.
So that's when we're going to specifically address that. Do you want to continue? You want to wait till we get to that specific item?
I'll leave that to you.
Mr. Mayor, that item is on consent. I have a suspicion that it will Dan will be pulling it.
Yeah, we're gonna pull that.
Conflict. So you'll have opportunity to speak on that when that matter comes up.
So you'd prefer I just do it at that time?
Yes, sir. That's when we'll actually vote on. I don't want to get your information get lost in translation. So
Okay.
I'd rather for us talk when we're talking about a specific topic.
Okay, good enough.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment? Okay, we'll move to the consent agenda. But routine items are placed on the consent agenda to expedite the meeting. If the commissioner's staff wish to discuss any item, the procedures as follows. Pull the items from the consent agenda, vote on remaining items with one roll call vote, and discuss each item pulled and vote by roll call. Are there any items tonight the commission would like to pull?
5C3.
Any other items? If not, we'll entertain a motion. Yes, sir.
Was he wanting to, Skybolt's on 5C2 also. I didn't know if,
I think he's more concerned with 5C3.
Okay.
Mr. Ned Bauer,
I didn't know if.
do you want to talk about 5C2s also, I think with the lease of Skybolt, or just 5C3? Yes, sir. Okay.
All right.
You're good?
I just want to make sure.
All right. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Could be made, motion properly second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Connell,
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck, Commissioner Burry, Commissioner Peterson,
Yes.
Mayor Christian.
Yes. Item 5C3 is a resolution. Would someone like to introduce it, please?
I'll introduce and ask to be read by title only.
Thank you.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute a lease agreement between Leesburg Hangar Llc and the City of Leesburg for property located at the Leesburg International Airport, 8900 Airport Boulevard, and providing an effective date.
Do I have a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay, discussion?
I'm a member of Leesburg Hangar Llc, and so I need to abstain from this item.
Okay. Have discussion? Yes, sir.
Go ahead. A few comments. Let me start with, I am not going to question staff or the Airport Advisory Board's recommendation on the lease, but I would like to talk about it, and I don't want to get into it tonight, but at least lay the groundwork for us to talk about, expanding the airport or, providing more facilities. I mean, in this situation here, we have two companies that bid on it. They are, two long-standing companies who would like to and need to expand, and I would like to see us, and we also have a long waiting list. Last I heard, it was around 37 people waiting for planes. We have the land. We're sitting on a lot of money. I talked with Al briefly last week. I know we'd like to time that with grant money, but yeah, I would like to just get this out. You know, we have a great airport, and I'd like to take care of two businesses who want to grow and take on more space and accommodate growth, continue to grow the airport. We're sitting on a lot of cash. It's not earning any money. I don't want to deplete our cash, but I'm not afraid to spend some of it and leverage our airport and make it a better airport. That's all I have.
Yes, sir. Any other comments from the commission? Okay, we'll go to public comment, then we'll come back to the commission. Public comment, Mr. Ned.
Where I left off was the economic development, talking about the data I've compiled has a lot to do where Leesburg is in the mix of local airports, and it clearly describes where we can be. Skybolt is a large contributor to the economic multiplier of the city of Leesburg for 3 reasons. Higher paying jobs. In the past 12 months, we've created 5 new positions at Skybolt. The bulk of our revenues come from afar to be dispersed into the economy here in Leesburg. We are in Skybolt has caught the attention of Enterprise Florida, who supported us at the Paris and Farnborough air shows, enhancing our international presence. Space Florida has brought Leesburg into their fold and have approached us to provide funding opportunities for our growth in Leesburg and the state of Florida. Please think about this. We have attracted our own source of funding tailored for our operations at the airport that is unique to our involvement in the space industry. They would not fund our growth if not for our presence on a public-funded airport or spaceport. Funding must now be on untitled new construction and equipment. The Space Florida investment begins at $1 million on airport property only, and we would need to budget another $3 million to build out and provide production capabilities. We're aimed to do that. This is our current business plan, but we need interim capacity to get there, going to why I'm here. Just 45 days ago, the Airport Advisory Board voted 100% in our favor of our current building lease, commenting on what a cool company we were and our affiliation with high-profile companies like SpaceX. Skybolt brings a lot of positive attention to Leesburg throughout the world in aviation, space, and defense. I'm proud to say our latest innovations in lightweight and stealth fasteners find us as a prime contractor on the Kratos X-58 Valkyrie drone that makes up the Loyal Wingman technology. This is one of the hottest defense system developments in the world, and we're very much a part of that. Because we are self-sufficient from manufacturing to installations, the recent economic events have allowed us to accelerate our reach. In 2012, Skybolt received the prestigious William C. Schwartz Award for Innovation. In 2017, we were recognized as the top 20 Florida companies to watch by Grow Florida. In 2019, Skybolt displayed at the Paris Air Show with the support of Enterprise Florida. In 2019 also, Skybolt was the Central Florida Manufacturer of the Year presented by MACF. Before you is a recommendation for the AVMEC airport property based on a sealed bid issued by the city. This building is adjacent to our current facility. It's about to lose 3 or 4 jobs, which we plan to replace in renovations, engineering, quality control, and production just for starters. The building was presented as a sealed bid offer, as a lease or a long-term lease purchase. There was no weight assigned to either offer. The RFO mentioned nothing about any cash offer preference. Our bid was based accordingly. If the RFO meeting was assumed to have another meeting, we were not notified. Skybolt had the highest bid based on the total revenue to the city before even considering other economic factors. There were 3 bids on the property, 2 of which were job creators on the airport with direct impact on the economic multiplier effects to the airport and the city. 1 was not. The city manager supported a bid by a sitting city commissioner. The city manager was willing to forego $358,500 for a cash offer. Jobs meant nothing, economic multipliers meant nothing. Please note that it appears the city official was favoring a lesser bid by a sitting commissioner trying to sell it as cash is king. The R4 could have easily stated such, but it did not. Had it implied that cash offers would be favored, we would have made our offer accordingly and competitively. When some legitimate questions were asked of the city manager, out of nowhere came a prejudiced attack on the integrity of Skybolt, suggesting that we had defaulted on our lease. If you review the settlement between the city and the DCA, there is no mention of default. What it mentions is a dispute between the city and the DCA, not Skybolt. The board heard default. When I questioned the city manager as to what time frame was he referring to, it was established that it was in 2001. Then the city manager stated that Skybolt was currently in default of the lease.
Mr. Nair, you got about 30 more seconds, sir.
Okay. The board heard default. The city manager stated at the end of the lease that just expired that he thinks that that we had missed some payments. If he misspoke, he'll correct that according to the minutes of the board meeting. The board heard late. It should be up to the city manager to thoroughly explain for the record what exactly his objective was on May 13th to support the lowest and the least best use bid while undermining a 39-year established business as some sort of risk to the city. If he misspoke, this might be a time to correct that. The commission and city and citizens of Leesburg deserve the facts, as the optics here are not good on multiple accounts. I ask this governing board to take pause on this vote and consider the best alternative to air the truth while we gain a clear understanding the dynamics of this process. This action needs a thorough review before approval, and I thank you.
Thank you, sir. Before the city manager responds, are there any more public comment? Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. 3 minutes, huh? That's going to wipe me out. My name is Steve Perello. I'm the CEO of First Class Aerospace at the Leesburg Airport and the CEO of Angel Flight Southeast, a charity based at the airport for the last 20 years. I just would like to boil down a few points, if I may. If the city commission decides to go with the Danforth or Leesburg LLC proposal, we're basically taking one airplane that's already in a hangar and moving it to another hangar on the airport. There's a commercial hangar, it's been a commercial hangar since its construction, that can handle 4 airplanes at a time. It'll be reduced to 1, possibly 2. As a result, 80 to 100 visiting airplanes that would become every year and pay the city of Leesburg for services or businesses there will not be coming. The city will lose 3 to 4 jobs, as has been in that hangar for the past 20 years. No ongoing financial benefit after the $358,000 will occur for the city. The city will receive 60% of the money offered by the commercial tenants. And not thinking about ourselves, the city misses another opportunity to build a brand new private hangar for Leesburg LLC's airplane, which we fully support. We'd love to see it. When we have 40 people waiting for 3.5 years to be able to come into the airport, and we don't build these hangars, and we have the funds to do it, unrestricted funds, it doesn't really make sense. So if the city goes ahead and decides one of the commercial operators would be able to take that space, jobs would be gained, not lost. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, in our case, would be brought in to tenants at the airport because of 80 to 100 transient jets, piston aircraft, helicopters arriving at our city. Hundreds of thousands of dollars have been spent at Sunair, our FBO, which is a substantial part of the airport, with jet fuel, 100 low-lead fuel, temporary hangar space, tie-down space, engine replacements, annual inspections, all which would have never taken place. They'd never have come to Leesburg Airport if it weren't for businesses like ours. Hundreds of thousands have been spent at Central Florida Avionics in the same fashion. Avionics upgrades, ADS-B upgrades, which is a new thing that airplanes have to do, biennial inspections, repair work. So what we're doing is we're trading off a great deal of commercial activity to take one private aircraft, which we love private aircraft, but take one private aircraft and move it into another hangar. And that, as a business person, just doesn't make sense to me. What we should do is take some of the funds that we have and build Mr. Danforth a beautiful hangar, much better than the one that is there now. So I appreciate your time, and I really would appreciate your consideration in the matter.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment? Sound allowed to city manager, she wants to respond to anything.
Yeah, let me, just from a staff perspective, review some of the comments tonight and explain in more detail the recommendation that's before this body and the recommendation that was before the Airport Advisory Board. Anna, if you could key up the PowerPoint presentation and go to the first page, and I'll yell at you when it's time to flip the page. If you could make that in the big, there you go. And I'll walk through each of these a little bit, but let me open first with an apology to Mr. Bowers. You know, the Skybolt's an important business to the airport. That was also said at the Airport Advisory Board meeting. They have been around for 20 years. I believe there's 15 or so employees. I'll also state that I think I have been personally a big part of making the airport, Leesburg International's, one of the primary goals being an economic development engine, not just a transportation hub. I think the members on this body have heard that come from me numerous times during budget processes, as well as airport layout plan processes. So the information tonight I will give is factual. It can be proved through public record and does not mean to inject or defame or demean, but it's factual information with management experience blended together to give this body the best recommendation moving forward. So with that opening, let me give you these philosophies that I've taken from this body to move forward in managing your airport. Number one, we have looked and we just said the airport is an economic development engine. So throughout my tenure here with you all, we have number one, and I think we've kind of shifted this too, because I think there was a time where Leesburg International Airport we looked at it and made decisions based on a transportation hub only. But I think we have slowly changed that. A catalyst of that would be many of the leases that we've done with Brainerd as they've expanded, as they're they are the major employer at the airport. And I'll point to Whip Air. We made a significant economic development deal with Whip Air to build the seaplane ramp, to bring in a general aviation company to promote economic development over transportation. Our airport layout master plan also did those things. So, economic development engine has been a priority. Now, there's a hitch in that, and Commissioner Peterson brought that up too, because I think our local plan of an economic development engine, and I subscribe to it. I think I've recommended it to this body. I know Tracy Dean has heard me say it, as well as members of the airport board. And when I differed from them, economic development first. That is not the philosophy of the FAA or the FDOT. I don't think we've had issue with that from the FAA or the FDOT to date, because we've been able to still have some open areas and blend the two. I don't see that that's always going to be on our horizon because of the issues that Mr. Peterson brought up in his comments earlier. We are running out of available land. We have a few other open areas where we can build some hangars, but we also have put together a plan, an airport layout plan, ALP, I'll refer to it henceforth, that focuses on economic development, building available hangars, box hangars, as well as T hangars in different areas. We've got a hangar grant recently that we just completed, but our ALP now focuses on making transportation and land improvements that open up more property to where we can start reinvesting in building. For example, there is a big giant water hole in the middle of the the grassy area or approach area to runway 21. If we can pipe that water out, we can build hangars in that area. We can still have our clear spaces, and that then becomes a significant corridor up and down that taxiway between, I don't know which taxiway it is, and runway 21, that kind of north-south-ish, if you will, becomes an area. We also have the southern part of the airport that we refer to south of runway 3113 as an area that we can grow into. That area is significantly more complex to grow into because the entryway has to be west on 441 through private property, through wetland areas, and then we have to do some mitigation areas. So that's another potential area. But our ALP now focuses on doing runway or taxiway expansions, other expansions that then will equal expansion of property where we can grow. Having said that, I think when we do our fiscal year 22 airport budget, we can talk about those concepts, review kind of the projects that we have on board, and make sure this body, as well as the airport board, is okay with where we're headed after several things. So all that is number one. Economic development engine unless otherwise directed. I do believe that as we are now, as we start getting tighter and tighter on land, the FAA directive and the FDOT directive is going to say, no, hangaring airplanes. I know it's counterintuitive. I don't agree with it, but it's what they're going to say, and they're the ones who cut the checks. Okay, 80% improvements come from them. The grant covenants that go back to World War II, all that stuff, they're going to say the primary use of an airport is a transportation hub, hangar airplanes, do lights, build runways. That's where we're going to end up unless we start finding other areas. So that's point number one, an economic development engine until otherwise directed by the FAA, FDOT, and I believe we're not there, but we're on that doorstep. But that's an important component that goes into the recommendation at hand. Number two, make the airport property available and accessible to the public on a fair basis. This body, in the early tenure of me working for you, said very clearly, I think just the time it transpired, where the history of the airport is 30-year leases or purchases, that property came back to us. We leased it out at very low rates. That could have been, at the time, argued understandably an economic incentive. I understand that. But as the property started coming back, I think there was an expectation that the owners who were turning back the property to the airport expected another good deal. And this body said, no, we want a fair deal. We want now a market rate driven deal. This body gave that direction to me very clearly. Since 2014, I would bring to your attention that we have had 6 new, and I use the word leases loosely, and I'll get into deeper on that. We've had 6 new leases that we've renegotiated to what I would call a fair market rate. And we've done that through either we got what we got for a fair market rate, or we did an RFO, just like we did on 8900 Airport Drive, with similar language that was written to our benefit. And we didn't say whether we wanted lease or whether we wanted purchase. Get into that in a minute. But we very clearly did say, we're going to go through these proposals and we're going to pick out what's best financially for the airport. That was clean in the deal. That was clean in the RFO. More on that to come. So since then, 6 new leases renegotiated. And just to summarize, 2 went to Brainerd at what we considered fair market proposals. 1, the city rejected, which was some of the T hangars, and we took those over because we felt like we can make more money off leasing out those T hangars than the existing issue. The other one was 900 Airport Drive. I didn't use Skybolt's name, but I'll use Skybolt. The item just before on the consent agenda that you did not pull was a Skybolt issue that renegotiated a lease in the same fashion that I call it Danforth, but it's I'm going to call it, because they changed their entity's name at the last second. But the Danforth lease, just like the Danforth lease, just like the other example, aerospace lease, they provided a purchase. And we just did that with Skybolt at 900 Airport Drive, and you just signed off on their cash payment approval so they could get their funding for that. So that option was out there. And then lastly on there, or I think there's two more examples. I think it's 32, it's 32, 746 Echo Drive, and then we're working on 8900 Airport Boulevard. So those are the ones that we negotiated. Then final thing on this, and then I'll get into the points, is make the airport, excuse me, self-sustaining as possible. In English, have them make as much money as they can. Cash is king. I won't back off that statement. Cash is king. So, with reference, if you turn the page there, Anna, for me, if you will. We set out because we knew that there was going to be competition for 8900 Airport Boulevard Hangar. We set out and we did a request for offer. Please, I know we're bureaucratic. I know we use lots of acronyms. Request for offer is not a bid. Request for offer is not a proposal. Those have very strict guidelines by statutes. A request for offer doesn't. In fact, you're not even required to do a request for offer. So a request for offer is totally, and we're not used to this, benefits us. We get to do the best deal that we deem financially possible, and that's what we did in the documents. So, now, let me describe. It's confusing and convoluted. It shouldn't be. It is really simple, but it's got a lot of parts. So when you start adding parts to simple things, it does become complicated. The airport basically has two ways that we manage property. One is a lease, one is a purchase. Both look and walk and talk and act like a lease because at the end of the term of the lease or the purchase, the property comes back to us. So whatever you want to call it, lease, purchase, lease, blah, 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 it comes back to us. It is a lease, but there are two different scenarios on how you acquire those funds, which goes into the matrix on how you decide what's financially best. One, there's a lease option. A lease option typically is you receive your money over time in monthly increments. You do your triple net lease, you go forward. So we got 3 lease offers. Those lease offers were from First Class Aerospace for a term of about 20 years. They proposed to give us $24,024 annually. If you multiply that over the term of 20 years, that would accumulate to $480,400 that you would collect over 20 years. Remember, not all at once. Divide that number by 20 and then 12, and that you would get that in monthly increments, or however you would negotiate the lease. Typically, it's done in monthly increments. Skybolt also provided us a typical lease. $26,000 annually times 20, $520,000 over the term of the lease. Leesburg Hangar Llc, also known as Danforth, they were different. They didn't provide us a lump sum. They provided us cash. I misspoke. They didn't provide us an annual rent payment. They provided us a lump sum. And that number was $301,000. That makes it sticky. Bottom line, staff is not recommending a lease for 3 reasons. There's no guarantee of long-term annual lease revenue. 2, you do have to take into account, because I got differences of lease payments and lump sum payments, you do have to take into account the time value of money. All cash now versus incremental payments over 20 years has a financial impact. That financial impact, I will tell you, is difficult to decipher. If you talk to a business person, they're going to say the discount rate on that should be upwards of what a private sector investor can get, 10, 15%. If you talk to a government guy like me, I'm going to tell you I'm only getting about 1% on your money. So it's in there somewhere. So I did 2 charts just to kind of delineate at what discount rate would the cash lump sum payment start surpassing the other numbers. And I'll make it short here. That number was about 7%. At 7% discount rate, the lump sum 301 became better than $24,000 a year and $26,000 a year. Oh, by the way, we also did an appraisal on 8900 Airport Boulevard. That's a city appraisal. We hired an appraiser. We tried to determine what the lease value on that facility would be. That number was 30 grand a year. So, at the end of the day, again, let me go back to our recommendation on lease. Don't do lease. It's not guaranteed. There's an argument about what the value of that money is because we got apples versus oranges. And the third issue is major repairs do become an issue. Now, we might have a triple net lease that says you got to fix the AC, you got to fix the roof, and we try to push off those major improvements the best we can. But I'm telling you, I've worked with y'all now for 7+ years. There's been 2 or 3 issues that come back to us. And in year 1, when you sign the lease, it's never a problem. It's always year 18, 19, and 20, when the building gets older, that the definition of major maintenance changes. And so we have had issue, not with Skybolt per se. There's been other entities out there where we're ending up fixing ACs and we're fixing roofs at the end of the term. Now, we've gotten stricter on some of our interpretations, which then has made renewals harder. But triple net is hard. You and I both know, you get something year 1, 20 years later, you're reinterpreting it. We still have that issue in a lease. I would recommend that you steer away from a lease. The other option that we have, if you hit the slide there, Anna, is the purchase option. How the purchase option is different is you get 2 pieces here. You get the value, they buy that building from you like a house, and you get the value of that hangar or that facility, plus you get a land lease. So you get a lump sum payment and a land lease. So in this case, we had 2 purchase offers. One was from Aerosmith for $242,000 lump sum and 16 cents per square foot for non-building facilities. That, by the way, that 16 cents per square foot in this particular case works out to $4,035. That in your contracts goes up by CPI. For this purpose, I didn't put the CPI number in there. So I basically did 4,035 times 30 plus 242,000 to get a number that you could compare it to, 363,000. Leesburg Hangar Llc was the next purchase option for 25 years. They provided $351,000 down, 16 cents, just like the other, for a total net value of $451,875. We did an appraisal on that building as well. We came up with the value of 8900 Airport Boulevard is $240,000. Okay, that was a city appraiser. We did it in December of 2019, and the Danforth proposal, or the Leesburg Hangar proposal, is about 145% of what we think fair market value is. So that number beats the other purchase numbers, and we think the purchase offer is better. Therefore, we recommended that the Leesburg Hangar LLC option that put $351,000 in your pocket now is better than the other alternatives, because there's no maintenance concern, cash is king, and there is a clear best offer that's well above the appraised value. If you turn the slide, I'll tackle these things real quickly, but I will be brief here. I do want to address some of the concerns with Skybolt because, again, Skybolt has been a good business partner with the city. Currently, they are at 9000 Airport Boulevard. We endeavored and made a partnership with them. I wasn't a part of that, but I can imagine it was part of like the whip air. If you build it, they will come. So we said, hey, we'll build you the facility that you're currently in. It cost $900,000 to build that in 2001. We entered a 20-year lease, 2001 to January 1, 21. We built a facility for $900,000. We got a CDBG grant, that's Community Development Block Grant, Economic Development, that HUD money, not FAA or transportation money, that's federal government HUD money in the Economic Development Department for $750 grand. So our investment in that facility was $150,000. Over the life of that 20-year lease, we collected just short of $1.2 million in revenue. Because those numbers are small and the audience is big, there's $1,198,410. Leesburg was scheduled to earn $1,048,410 over the life of that deal. 9/11 happened. There was default in that way back in 2001. The city paid back that grant, $750,000. So instead of making $1.048 million, we made $298,000. We didn't lose on the deal. We were in the black, but it wasn't as much as we thought we would make. Let me also go into, we recently sold that building. That was one of the deals that we talked about, fair market value. We negotiated with Skybolt for quite a while on this and ultimately came up with the current deal where they are in compliance with, but there was a 2-month window between negotiations and final deal where their lease was expired January and February 2001, where the city still caused them to pay the old deal versus new deal. So we didn't terminate the contract. They were not in default. They were not in default, but we didn't terminate the contract because we're good business partners. We kept working with them. And they actually, at the end of the day, because they are a good business partner, they actually got a deal that I think was not fair market value. And that was something this body should have done. We entered into an agreement with them for not market value. So here are the numbers. They are factual. Number one, we, I think that the date is March 22nd, 2021, we entered into a new sale agreement with Skybolt that provided us a lump sum payment of $500,000 and a lease of $7,093 a year. Total term, $641,860. We did a city appraisal on this. By the time we started working with our appraisal on this one, he didn't want to do a purchase agreement. The best we could do was get a lease agreement appraisal. That value was $2.71. Now that's different than the 16 that we talked earlier because that includes building and land. So that would be a total annual payment of $120,000. But Skybolt also did an appraisal. They did an appraisal on their own. Their appraised value as of 2016 from Skybolt, as they represented to us, was $870,000 for a purchase agreement and $2.59 for a lease agreement. Those were their numbers as of 2016. Those were the numbers that we started working on to come up with the ultimate deal that we did, where they got, again, whoever numbers you want to use. If you use the one that's there that did come from Skybolt, 870, you got 500, so you gave them a deal for about 60% of market value. Good deal, because it kept an important business at the airport. With that, those are all the facts I think presented fairly and equitably, and our recommendation is that the Danforth lease at this time provides you the highest cash value, and unfortunately, I'll say, the best use.
Thank you, sir. Any comments from the commission? Before we vote, I think we offer up any public comment, additional public comment of what we heard from the city manager tonight. Yes, sir.
Actually, I think we could all work together. I'm not here to be confrontational. I'm here to be a winner. Take a lemon, make a lemonade. One comment, though, on Al's numbers. That 800,000, it took me about a year until the Sea Wings appraisal came out to find the errors that Durango had done on that appraisal. And you want a couple hours to sit down, I've got a spreadsheet, I can go through it pretty well. The thing on the 500 is Our building is very intense with air conditioning units that typically the life is 15 years, and we're well in overtime. We were looking at the potential of replacing 8 units with close to 80,000 or higher. So that 500, we're taking full responsibility for everything. There's no argument on triple net anymore because we've all been around the block on that. It's very clear. All the maintenance costs it's in our court, it's part of that. So really, to say it was just a super deal, yes, to me, it was a good deal, and I do appreciate the city for honoring that. But there's always a little bit more to the story, so I just wanted to kind of clarify that. But at the end, I certainly asked this commission to put this on pause, this vote, get the facts, and let's all work together. I think Mr. Roebuck, all of us that want to see the airport grow and prosper, the city of Leesburg, we can all do this together. But you have 2 businesses right now that really do need growth. And whether it's Skybolt or it's First Class, I really would appreciate if you'd reconsider. And Mr. Roebuck and his needs, I think we can address that, and we can all come out of this all winner. So I appreciate that.
Thank you, sir. All right, Commissioner.
Is it all right if I make some public
Sure.
comment?
Yes, sir.
You can hold me to 3 minutes and stuff. One, I do certainly appreciate that both Skybolt and First Class Aerospace are very important members of the airport. And as a commissioner, I've supported their growth in the past. I just wanted to clear up that since there's so many people who are watching it, that this is not just like a personal toy thing for me. In addition to being a commissioner, I'm an owner of Romac Building Supply, and one of the other members is the owner of Hewitt Environmental. And between the two of us, we employ about 200 it's close to 280 people in Leesburg itself. And I know Romac, 67% of our employees are here in Leesburg, and over the last 2 years, we've made the decision to sell some property outside of Leesburg and grow in Leesburg and bring those jobs here. We spent about $1.5 million expanding here, and this does allow us to do business, because we do business all over the state now, allows us to base in Leesburg and do that business. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments? Yes, sir.
I just want to clarify my comment on hangars. I know the last set of hangars we built were T hangars, and my recommendation this time is box hangars that are versatile for people storing aircraft, or leasable, to companies and so forth. So I just want to clarify that. And we do have the land. We have land mixed in with the current hangars, and that does not even count the land along the highway, which we are renting to car dealers. We do have that land available at some point in time. So, but my most important comment is I just want to clarify T hangars that are versatile.
Yes, sir.
And I would like to see us talk about it in either the next meeting or during the budget process in July, along with the Airport Advisory Committee, and see if we can come up with a plan to build more hangars.
Sounds good.
I think the best place let's address that at the airport, the budget workshop where we have the airport. We'll get out invites to the budget, to the airport advisory board on when that date is. That's just give us the most time where we can talk freely without commitments, and that will give better direction to staff to move forward.
Okay, and so the audience will know budget process is in July.
Yeah, it'll be, Brandy's on vacation, so it's either the 2nd or 3rd, so it's either the 9th or the 8th or the 13th or something like that. But we'll get that out to the airport, so we're about a month away.
I think Al, while we're discussing that, I know you say suck the water out, but you're going to bring some cost projections. 'Cause I know it sounds easy, but I think, we also know.
On the hangar issues?
Yeah, when you're talking about
Absolutely.
taking the water out and mitigating the wetlands, and I think that's always been the thing that held us back. So I think those numbers are going to be crucial for us to talk about expansion. And also by the roadway, I think FAA and FDOT always had a problem with us building on the road because buildings and airplanes and landing always was an issue. So I don't know if Tracy will come with information on that as well about those building heights and why we lease it to, and why we purchased those buildings on 441 so that we could stop development. So I think all that needs to kind of come to that workshop. Maybe we just need to have a budget workshop just for airport. Maybe just set some specific time, because that is a major economic engine. So I think we need to discuss it, as I think the best use probably is not leasing out the car lots to park 300 cars on 441. So I think we need to identify what is the highest and best use that we can actually utilize for FAA and FDOT. Okay, you ready to vote? Everybody ready to vote? Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Burry? Yes. Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Mayor Christian?
Yes. Let's go to our public hearing.
6A.
So item 6 is public hearings and non-routine items. The comprehensive plan information sign-up sheet yellow is available. We have no second readings tonight. 6B is our first reading, which is an ordinance. Someone like to introduce it, please.
I'll introduce, has to be read by title only.
Thank you.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, annexing certain real property consisting of approximately 32.68 plus minus acres, being generally located on the south side of County Road 48, east of County Road 33, lying in Section 15, Township 20 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, providing that said property so annexed shall be liable for its proportionate share of the existing and future indebtedness of said city, provided that such annexed property shall be subject to all laws and ordinances of said city, as if all such territory had been a part of the City of Leesburg at the time of passage and approval of said laws and ordinances, providing that such annexed territory shall be placed in City Commission District 3, and providing an effective date.
Do we have a discussion from the commission tonight?
Yeah, so I've got some concerns with this one. It backs right up to Rogers Industrial Park, and we've for the new commissioners, we spent a lot of time hearing from residents about that from Arlington Ridge and one of the other subdivisions about that mulch. I think there's a mulch plant out there, but it's in the county, and then the city residents are complaining about the odors and the noise. And in this case, it's going to be city on city. So we've got an industrial park backing up to a residential subdivision, and that does concern me. If we're going to consider it, and I guess this is a question for Fred. Can you force them to disclose that to homeowners, like at time of sale?
You can do that. I have seen enough of these situations to know that it's not effective. People don't hear it, and particularly the person that buys from the first purchaser probably doesn't get that. The developer can preach it to the first buyer, but then the second one comes along and they just buy into it. And even though they can look over there and see the factory, they don't pick up on it.
Yeah, so anyways, I just, I think this property, if they wanted to come and ask for some industrial or commercial zoning, I'd be really happy to give it to them, but I think it's just going to create a problem we're going to have to deal with down the road.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I agree with Dan.
Any others from the commission?
Well, I was just going to add to Dan's comment. He mentioned the mulch plant. I think since I've been on the commission, 2.5 years, helped me out. I think the incinerator, there was the ashes from the incinerator back there were another issue that surfaced. The winds blow the wrong way, and everybody's in here complaining. Now, we were able to, I believe that's a county property, but still, we took a lot of heat on that, and I agree with Dan. We approved this today, and I walked in here saying I was okay with it, but we're gonna be on the hot seat in 5 or 10 years, all these angry homeowners complaining about this tall incinerator lit up at night, and the noise. Arlington Ridge is complaining about the noise and the ashes. I'll just point that out.
Okay, any public comment? This is a first reading, won't vote on this tonight. Intended to go into second reading and meeting in August. Are there any public comments on this one? Okay, this item will lay over. Item 6B2 is also a first reading. Would someone like to introduce it?
I'll introduce, has to be read by title only.
An ordinance amending the future land use map of the comprehensive plan of the city of Leesburg, Florida, changing the future land use map designation of certain property containing 32.68 plus minus acres from Lake County Regional Office to City of Leesburg Estate Residential for property generally located on the south side of County Road 48, east of County Road 33, as legally described in sections 15, Township 20 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Same comments. Any public comment? This one also lay over. 6B3 is an ordinance. Someone like to introduce it, please?
I'll introduce, can be read by title only.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, changing the zoning on approximately 32.68 plus minus acres from Lake County A agricultural to PUD planned unit development to allow for a single-family residential development for property generally located on the south side of County Road 48, east of Lake County Road 33, as legally described in Section 15, Township 20 South, Range 24 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Okay. This item will also lay over. Staff is the developer here on this one? He's here? Sundance? If you talk, you may want to have him come to the next meeting because there may be some concerns to get. So, thank you, sir. All right, 6B4. This is Hodges Reserve. It's the first reading. Would someone like to introduce it?
I'll introduce to be read by title only.
Thank you.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, annexing certain real property consisting of approximately 148.67 plus minus acres, being generally located east of U.S. Highway 27 and on the north side of Dewey Robbins Road, lying in sections 31 and 32, Township 20 South, Range 25 East, Lake County, Florida, provided that said property so annexed shall be liable for its proportionate share of the existing and future indebtedness of said city, provided that such annexed property shall be subject to all laws and ordinances of said city, as if all such territory had been a part of the City of Leesburg at the time of passage and approval of said laws and ordinances, providing that such annexed territory shall be placed in City Commission District 3 and providing an effective date.
Any commission discussion?
I'll say, first of all, the developer Hanover's done quite a few developments in Leesburg. I believe I have supported every one of those. This one is, staff is against this one. I believe the Planning and Zoning Commission was unanimous in their vote against it, and I'll go ahead and go on the record and say that I will vote against this one.
Yeah, and just reading from the staff's analysis, it says the surrounding future land use map designations for Lake County Rural and Lake County Rural Transition are not at this time considered compatible with the proposed future land use designation of the city residential. So, to me, it doesn't match what's there, and I don't think I would be in favor of it.
Okay. Any other commissioners?
Yeah. So, I certainly understand the concerns from the Planning Commission. However, I think that for me, my concern is that that's where the development's happening is out there, and because of the turnpike interchange, right? That's where where Kroger and Amazon have located, and that's why you're seeing a lot of interest in that area from home builders, is because there aren't places for the people in those companies to live. In fact, a large company recently just did a lot of due diligence on the Ford Commerce Park and passed because there weren't enough restaurants. And the only way you get restaurants is rooftops. I mean, it has to come for that. And so I think if Leesburg is going to develop like real commercial industrial, that's where it's going to happen. It's got to be near the transportation hubs. I think that's why you saw the county improve Dewey Robbins Road to a collector status, because they recognize the growth out there is coming. And then the other thing is that area does have some housing, but right now it's all 65 plus out there. Pretty much everything out there is 65 plus, so it's not workforce. And we desperately need workforce housing.
Please, while the commissioners
in,
are talking, I'm gonna need everyone in
Leesburg.
the public to please be respectful and keep your comments to yourself. We don't want to hear it, we want to hear him. When you get a chance to talk, we're gonna be respectful for you. So please, while the commissioners are talking, please keep those comments in the audience to yourself. Sorry, Commissioner.
Thank you. You know, we desperately need workforce housing, and you know, this is a subdivision where you're talking about, and workforce housing would be, just to be clear, we're not talking about subsidized affordable housing. We're talking about Lake Denham Estates is what we have here, recently built in Leesburg on 27. It's a great subdivision. You know, we're talking about houses in today's environment, unfortunately, because of construction costs, you're talking about $250,000 to $300,000. That's a product that you're going to need a $60,000 pre-tax income, household income to afford. So, you know, this is the development that is going, you know, where you're going to have your utility workers, your teachers, your firefighters, police officers, and you know, people like Kroger, people at the Amazon warehouse. We need housing for these people, and you know, the way we get to have our downtown develop, it's to have young people live in Leesburg, and right now we just don't have that housing product. This subdivision, I think, provides that. It is a rural area. I get it, and you know, if you live in that rural area and houses come, I mean, there's no other way around it. It sucks. I mean, you moved out there and it was rural, but that's what happens to rural areas if the city is going to grow. Now, if you don't want the city to grow, that's a realistic option, is to say no more development. But for me, I want the city to grow. I think this is a quality development. You know, they do have a long track record of building quality developments in the area, and it's, you know, this is not an environmentally sensitive piece of land. I know there's a lot of talk about that, but there's talk about that, to be fair, on every piece of property that ever comes up to us. So we know there are gopher turtles. There's gopher turtles on literally every piece of undeveloped land in Lake County, I think. And so, but you know, this is not a what I would consider you know, an environmentally unique piece of property. So for me, you know, and I'm open to some, you know, tweaks and changes, but I think we need, you know, we need a product that working families can afford if we're going to grow Leesburg the way at least I want to see it grow. So that's why, or how I feel about the project. Thank you.
Anything at this time, Commissioner Connell? Okay, before we have the public too, we're going to have Hanover. The representative from Hanover is going to come and talk. After the representative from Hanover comes, then the public will have your opportunity to speak tonight. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Commissioners. Ben Snyder, 605 Commonwealth Avenue, Orlando. Hanover Land Company, we have a presentation that they're bringing up. So just to give you some background info on our team. Next slide, please. I'm Ben Snyder. I have Tony Iorio, who's our VP of Development, Blake Drury, who's going to do the presentation tonight, our planner from GAI, Tony Reddick, our engineer, is here, and Muhammad Abdullah is our traffic consultant on the project. Next slide. So Hanover Land Company, as Commissioner Peterson said earlier, is a builder developer that's been in the area for a long time. We've developed thousands of lots, built thousands of homes in Central Florida, been very, very active in Lake County in the last 10 years. Ardmore Reserve is in Mineola, Cypress Oaks and Preserve at Sunrise are in Groveland. Windsong, we just received final approvals and is under development in Leesburg. Eagle Tail, which is formerly known as Macalia, at the corner number 2 and 48. We're very, very close to finishing the final approvals there and excited to get started and produce another quality project in the city. And then Trinity Lakes is our big project in Groveland that's 1,153 lots and has spurred on other economic growth within the city of Groveland and has spurred a lot of additional interest in that area and has really put Groveland on the map and helped it a lot. The family worked for is also very generous, committing over $5 million to charitable organizations in the last 10 years. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Blake, and he's going to give you more info and particulars on the project.
For the record, Blake Drury, GAI Consultants, 618 East South Street, Orlando. Anna, if you could go to the next slide. So we're here, obviously, as you've seen, asking for three things tonight: a voluntary annexation, a comp plan amendment, and a rezoning. Anna, the next slide. I think it's important to recognize first, this is part of the ISBA that anticipates and contemplates the annexation and city services among the 4 cities in the area. We're east of 27, but we're about 3/4 of a mile from existing development, and we're north of Dewey Robbins Road. And I think that's an important piece to talk about as we go to the next slide. We can see here, it's hard to read the labels from this far away, but you can see US 27 on the left side. You can see 48 on the top, 19 on the right side, and within that, actually no improved roads. And so as we talk about timing of development as it moves south from the city, we need to think about where the infrastructure and the source of support for that development is actually coming from. So if you go to the next slide, what you can see is that when Dewey Robbins Road about 10 years ago was improved in anticipation of this type of growth, that's the only improved road in that entire segment. So as we think about how services actually get provided, that's an important piece of information. And I want you to keep that in your mind when we go to the next slide and look in detail in the area. So if you, Anna, can go to the next one. So this is our project over on the right side in color there. That's Dewey Robbins Road that is immediately south of it. And you can see we're about 3/4 of a mile from US 27. And just south of Dewey Robbins, the piece that's shown in white there, that's the Leiden Nicholson Pd. It's approved. It's approved for over 1 million square feet of commercial. And I think as Commissioner Roebuck rightly pointed out, everyone wants to see that succeed. Everyone wants to see the commercial be successful. Everyone wants to see drivers of other employment uses. Well, you've sort of created this chicken and an egg issue of we want commercial, but we really need rooftops to support that commercial. And in this case, we have a developer who is willing to put in the rooftops, and we'll talk about specifically what some of the important things about those homes are, but who wants to put in the rooftops to support the non-residential uses that we see there. And I think that's important to note. The other thing that's important to note is it's really the first developable site to the east as you go along Dewey Robbins Road. Next, I want to talk about timing considerations. You can just sort of click through however many there are on here. You know, properties to the north, as we remember back to that map, really have significant barriers to development. There's no transportation access. It's further from utilities. It's dirt roads and private drives. Really to insist that these properties have to develop and position themselves for development before development that's actually more proximate to where the infrastructure actually is, isn't really a valid concern, and we obviously take issue with that. In most other situations, you'd be making exactly the opposite sort of argument. These projects are going to take a while to develop. We're proposing a 3-phase project, and I think it's really important to sort of land on this, that approving that PD at US 27 and the Turnpike really planted the city's flag there. And so to say that we're premature, I think is not an accurate assessment of the situation. If we go to the next slide, we can see the conceptual plan. That's about 150 acres. It's 3 units to the acre, so that if you do the math is a maximum of 449 units. They're all single-family detached homes, consistent with the sort of thing that I think folks have said, you know, they've been pleased with Hanover building in the past. It's 50-foot lots and it's 40-foot lots, and we'll talk about lot sizes in a second. You can see the orange lots around the perimeter are 50 feet wide. The yellow lots on the interior are 40 feet. If we go to the next slide, you can see that in a little more detail. We did that for compatibility reasons, and I know immediately you're going to say, well, everything around this is rural. Every single development in this part of the city, including those with even more intense uses, is or was adjacent to agricultural lands as it developed, and some still are. So if we go to the next slide, the question of compatibility, you know, is and Anna, you can just click through these again, I'm sorry. As we go through this compatibility, there is a certain bar, and the bar's not, it has to be the same, or I like it, or I don't like it. The Florida statutes in the planning legislation, Chapter 163, actually defines what compatibility is. It's land uses that can coexist in proximity to each other in a stable fashion over time, where the use of property is not negatively affected by the presence of the other. And I would submit that agriculture and residential are in fact compatible. Single-family uses are inherently compatible with single-family uses. A 60-foot lot and a 50-foot lot are virtually visually indistinguishable from each other. And again, as the community develops, there will be residential areas adjacent to agricultural areas. It's important for us to note why we're doing lots of this size, and if you go to the next one and kind of click through the bullets, the best way to think of it is, you know, over the past 10 years or so, the National Association of Home Builders is in their research shown that average lot sizes are down about 20%, and there's lots of things that are causing that. What we see in our work here in Central Florida with Hanover and lots of other builders is that higher land prices and higher material prices together form the situation where if you require large lots, the result is that higher costs and higher prices for the potential buyer prices people out of the market. And so what we're trying to get to is control the thing that we can control, which is to some extent construction, but to a large degree land, and get smaller lots that are going to let lower home prices. And this is going to allow a situation where the buyers of these homes can be, you know, the folks that serve the community every day. You know, it's a policeman, a fireman, teachers, nurses. Like, these are the folks who get priced out when we require larger lot sizes. And so this is, we believe, a good community solution to that issue. If we go to the next one, so cost is one thing. It's not the only factor. There's a desire going on at sort of both ends of the barbell among seniors and among younger folks to want to have less land. And in order to do that, that really means that we're going to have higher quality shared amenities. These are parks and pools and trails that a master plan community like this will give you, rather than just a sort of typical subdivision. If you can go to the next slide, Anna, you can see we've got the diagram of open space. You can see the ponds, the connected park system that connects north from the amenity center down to the lake, and really trying to give organization to the community that way. We have a perimeter buffer. If you go to the next slide, you can see meeting the city requirements for the 25-foot buffer. Again, as I said, this isn't going to be completely built overnight. Anna, if you go to the next slide. So starting with the yellow in the bottom left, that's the first phase that has the amenity center that's built off of Dewey Robbins. The pink in the middle is the second phase, and sort of working around the cell tower that's the out parcel there and the Seco utility plant, sort of working around that to the green box on the far east that is the third phase to the project. I mentioned the amenity center. We have an image of that. There will be houses around it. I don't want to give the impression that it's off in a field somewhere, but in order to let you see the architecture and the kind of thing that we're anticipating, that's the amenity center. And then I think we're familiar with the type of homes that you would see here, really trying to make sure that there's an architectural quality that goes along with the quality of the community design and the public amenities. So with that, we'll stand here for any questions that you may have, and thank you for your time and your attention tonight.
Thank you, sir. Does the commission have any questions for the developer? All right, if you guys can just stand there, we're going to open up for the public. They may have some questions or concerns, so if you would stay close by. Any public comments on this particular issue, just come to the microphone, please.
My name is Reggie Thomas. I live on Dewey Robbins, 7850 Dewey Robbins Road. I was at the last hearing on this, and the gentleman just mentioned 40 and 50-foot lots. But he made a comparison of 50 and 60-foot lots. So let's go back to comparing oranges and apples and apples. The other thing is, my wife and I purchased our property 2017. We have several homes. We live in Maryland as well as in Florida. I'm a retiree of the NAACP. I worked at the national headquarters. We have a house in Ocala, and we purchased this one because this one was close to 10 acres with the privacy, the orange groves. I think it's ridiculous to put 449 houses on 148 acres. Number one, you already got issues with the school system. You don't need any new development until you get that squared away. There's a lot of problems with that in terms of, I'm not so sure about overcrowding, but the performance is not that good. And I know that because I have 3 children, one who's an executive at Citigroup, one who's an attorney at University of Maryland, and one who's about to become a lieutenant colonel in the Marine Corps. So I know what performance is. The deal is that when I drive down Dewey Robbins and I see what could become of that, that's quite a bit. That's quite a bit. And I think it's, the last time one of the commissioners asked the developer, do you have a plan B? And the answer was no, this is the plan. You gotta have a plan B because almost 500 homes in that space, I think is a little bit much. Thanks for hearing us.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Deborah Shelley, 9710 East Dewey Robbins Road. Thank you for the opportunity to comment on the Hodges Reserve. My family resides in the Alaha Lake Apopka Rural Protection Area as defined by the Lake County Comprehensive Plan. We've been in Lake County and on our property since 1983. We love Lake County. We like the rural area as well. I'm here today because I have great concern about the Hodges project as proposed and the compatibility of the project with the adjacent properties and the existing local rural community in general. The Amazon, as you mentioned, the Amazon Distribution Center is quite a ways down 27. It's really not adjacent to or near Dewey Robbins Road. And rural areas are not areas just waiting to be developed. We went through this in 2006 with Lake County with the Rural Areas Plan. And as you may recall, that was the beginning of the Rural Protection Area and the county policies and the County Comprehensive Plan dealing with protecting the rural areas. I am submitting written comments for the record, which I'll give to you after my 3 minutes. and I hope you will read them at your convenience and also before the second hearing. I'm concerned about the consistency of the Hodges Reserve project with the objectives and policies in the Leesburg Growth Management Plan that deal with compatibility. I certainly do not object to the city of Leesburg growing, but this particular project I don't feel is the area for Leesburg to grow at this point in time. I support Leesburg up and down 27 from the yard stop all the way down to Pat's Sales. For many years, I support everything in my family up and down 27. I'm aware of the interlocal service boundary agreement, and the ISBA states that the principal goal of the agreement is to determine how to provide services while balancing the needs and desires of the community. So with the site plan as proposed, we really don't have a balance here. So we have plenty of rooftops along 27 with Legacy, Highland Lakes, Plantation, all up and down 27. I think we have a lot of rooftops already. You have some very good objectives and policies in the Leesburg Growth Management Plan that address land use compatibility with established surrounding neighborhoods. And of course, we're dealing with rural communities in a county-designated rural protection area. Your future land use element, the Leesburg future land use element, states that compatibility with surrounding established neighborhoods shall be considered during the comprehensive plan amendment process. It also states that you do not have to approve land use amendments that are inconsistent with the character of the community. We have new residents in this area. If you go down East Dewey Robbins Road, there's several new homes that are being built on large acreage. And over the past few years, we've had other new neighbors building on large acreage. So unless we have some type of definitive study that says people want small lots, people want rural areas, I really think it's up in the air. We do have people moving into rural areas, and those people would like to have a reasonable expectation that their area might remain rural. So I ask that you consider the objectives and policies in the Leesburg Growth Management Plan as you deliberate about your decision on whether or not to approve this proposal as submitted. Your growth management plan also states that Leesburg shall promote compatibility of adjacent land uses with Lake County. So we have the opportunity for the county to be involved and weigh in on this situation as well. Your policy regarding annexations states that you will eliminate areas of jurisdictional problems. So this proposal seems to create a significant jurisdictional problem with Lake County and the city of Leesburg. So again, as you deliberate on your decision about these ordinances, I hope you will consider the objectives and policies in your growth management plan. And I respectfully request, and I hope that you will request, that the applicant provide significant revisions to the proposal, to the proposed site plan that will bring it more in line with the existing community and the rural protection area. Thank you very much for your time. And I will now give you my written comments for the record. Thank you.
And you want to pass those to Ms. Curtis?
Are there any other public comment?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Scott Sattler. I live off East Dewey Robbins Road. I'm here with my equestrian family and concerns regarding this Hodges Reserve. I may pick up on a couple of things that were already mentioned by Deborah Shelley, but I think I can extend a little bit on that. I'll just start with what I have. We've been living on this property for the past 25 years. Again, here today to discuss these concerns regarding the future land use of rural Lake County. In regards to the commissioner's statements about the rural land, and this is where growth is going to come to, Mrs. Shelley, other than myself at the last council meeting, being the only two people who have mentioned that this is a rurally protected area. Nobody on the commission mentions that. Nobody on the council mentions that. We can't just circumvent through paperwork and data and research and scientific studies that have been done dating all the way back to 1972, July of 1972, with the Conservation Act of 1972. And this started this process to rurally protect up to 2006, which I'll pick up on later. Other than the Conservation Act, there's also, yes, the Growth Management Act of 85-86, with both acts intended to help local officials make decisions regarding the distribution, extent, and timing of future growth. Distribution of growth defined as the geographic location of new development and the relationships between that development and existing development, and supporting infrastructure and the environmental resources of that area, of which none have been considered in this development. With the final characteristic of the Growth Management Act requiring local officials to manage the timing of future development, stating that local governments must decide when permitting development if the specific area proposed for development has the necessary supporting infrastructure and other developmental characteristics that support the new development, to which this rural area, protected area, supports neither. Leesburg own Code of Ordinances 25-274 speaks in respects to planned development district intent statements. Subsection B of that statement, the planned unit development is intended to promote creative development which is compatible to adjacent land use and is in accordance with the growth management plan, to which neither of those apply. This particular area also protected through the Yalaha Lake Apopka Rural Protection Area, including the roads of East Dewey, South Dewey, and Dewey Robbins Road are all also protected roads. They cannot expand, they cannot be widened, they're protected. They have to remain as they are. According to the 2030 Future Land Use Designation Analysis for the Lake County Comprehensive Plan, it speaks to the county has established, let me go with this. In addition to the designations assigned to the green swamp area of the critical state concern in the Wekiva River Protection Area, the county itself has established two similar yet very distinct future land use categories in the rural areas of Lake County. There's the rural category and the rural transition, which is the area that we're speaking of at this time is the rural area. So it doesn't have a breakdown according to density in regards to the acreage changing from one unit dwelling at a 5 acre plus acreage. So there is no room for movement in this, and it states that these land use designations are intended to work in harmony to maintain the rural character, lifestyle, and agricultural potential of certain areas of Lake County. The creation of these land use designations also benefits the public by providing for an area in Lake County in which a reduced level of investment for public facilities is required, and accordingly less public demands and expectations relating to such facilities. Additionally, the creation of these land use designations will assist the county in implementing its overall plan strategies to maintain the rural character and lifestyle of certain areas in the county and promote the protection of agricultural uses and the environment. Under this rural, similar yet distinct, it states that the rural future land use allows rural residential development at densities equal to or less than 1 dwelling unit per 5 net buildable acres, agricultural and attendant uses. This land use is established to allow residential development on large lots and accommodate the continuation of agricultural pursuits. So in that, subsections here maintain the rural character of the area by developing at a very low density. Now the distinction between the two is right there. The other one, the only difference in the rural transition, other than, yes, it does accommodate from 1 to 5 acres, 1 to 3 acres, 1 to 1 acre, based on that growth and that density, which your comprehensive plan speaks to in those areas, which is almost blatantly right across the street from where they're trying to develop. So it makes no sense that in the rural protected area on the other side of the streets where none of these apply, none of this, it doesn't meet any of the requirements, this particular development, zero. But
About
here's
10
the
more
difference.
seconds, sir.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry?
About 10 more seconds.
Okay. Well, let me go to here then, Because the only distinct part between the rural and the rural transition is developing at a very low density and then developing at a low density. The Lake County Rural Area Plans of 2006 in January, supported by what Deborah Shelley mentioned, which was backed by the citizens of Lake County, Alliance to Protect Water Resources, Citizens Coalition of Lake County Conservation Council, Friends of Yalaha, Citizens Against Rural Endangerment. It states what the county of the rural planning is not about making all of Lake County one dwelling per 5 acres, but it is about ensuring that all of Lake County does not become urban sprawl. And to close, urban sprawl is defined under your terms as urban development or uses that are located in predominantly rural areas that are characterized by one or more of the following conditions. A, the premature or poorly planned conversion of rural land to other uses. B, creation of areas of urban development or uses which are not functionally related to land uses which predominate the adjacent area. Urban sprawl is typically manifested in one or more of the following land use patterns. And the one that's addressed here is the leapfrogging. That's what's happening here, of which Leesburg is responsible for. And if you've taken a quick look at any Lake County interactive maps lately, you clearly can see that Leesburg is definitely leapfrogging, and there is urban sprawl nightmare in the making. In closing, to say that this application is premature is an understatement. It is hard not to notice the amount of circumvention in this process to get Hodges Reserve approved through Leesburg, all the while disregarding its own ordinances. It disregards its adopted comprehensive plan and several requirements that have not been made, and some not even addressed. Thank you for your time. Can I add one more thing to the commissioner's statements and to add to Deborah Shelley?
Just address the chair, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
In addressing what was mentioned by a commissioner, there actually was an online survey results that did take place in the Lake County Rural Areas Plan, which was again January 2006. And in regards to what the people would like to see, the online survey did talk about future land use and growth, and it marks this is fact. I can forward this to you. Majority of respondents ranked natural resources at the top characteristics that makes their community unique. 85% of the 1,794 respondents felt pace of growth was too fast. 86% of the 1,794 respondents stated that preserving open space between communities and neighboring communities is very important. 40% of the 1,794 indicated they want no new residential growth in their community. The majority of the respondents ranked protected habitat and natural areas as number one for what they would like to see more of. And the majority of respondents expected a desire to slow growth and preserve their rural lifestyle and preserve the environment. So the tune in 2006 of 80+% of people that are not in favor of this type of growth, certainly not in rural protected areas.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Pam Rustio. I live at 25203 Turkey Lake Road. And I just want to make sure that the petitions that were submitted to, can you not hear me?
Yes,
the petitions that were submitted are on record for this meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
There's one that is asking that the applicant just revise their proposal to more closely integrate with the existing rural community and rural lifestyles, and that they comply with the zoning category defined in the adopted 2030 Lake County Future Land Use Map. The people in this room support your businesses and the businesses in Leesburg and along 27, like Deborah said. We're part of your community, and respectfully ask that you pay attention to what the people in the area are saying. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Michelle Kerner-Miller, and I live at 6531 Dewey Robbins Road. I kind of wanted to just give you a moment and explain what they've done is amazing. I don't have much I need to say, but I do need to just let you know that a lot of us have kids out there. We moved out there to raise kids on rural land. We're not saying that growth isn't going to happen. It's inevitable at some point, but not so much, especially in the place where we are. I have 4 children, 2 dogs, pigs from 4-H most of the time. We have steers, we have chickens, and that's what we do. And our kids ride around on ATVs, and it's a freedom out there, and that's why we moved out there. That's why more people are moving out there with their children. And those children have to go to school somewhere. And a lot of those children have parents that work, so those children are gonna have to ride a school bus. We don't have enough school bus drivers to take the kids that we already have. We're begging for school bus drivers. We're losing teachers in the city of Leesburg because we can't keep them in our schools. This is zone Leesburg schools. So where are you gonna put all of these children? I know that I work for the school system and I work in Astatula. We can't take very many more students over there. And that's where usually they go if they don't go to Leesburg. So I would like you to take in consideration that this isn't just about rooftops, and it's about families, and families move out here for a reason. And these people have to have places to go, and their children have to have places to go. And I also, my mother wanted me to let you know, I believe her name is Kim Cronin. She's at 6531 Dewey Robbins Road, and she wrote you a letter. So I wanted to make that known that that is also in because she couldn't make it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't get to talk at the last one. I'll be very quick. Thank you, everybody, for your time. My point is, and I'll be very original, my point is the letter that we received about this development said that the parcels would be 1 acre. Now they turn into 1/4 of an acre. That's a big difference. And all of our land, all of our residents are 5 acres or more, not 1/4 acre or not even 1 acre. It's 5 acres or more. So that would be a huge difference. So piggybacking off of Michelle, yes, everybody has a lifestyle out there that's totally different from city. So please, don't kill our rural area. That's all I want to say.
Ma'am, can we get your name? Ma'am. Excuse me, can we get your name and address, please? We got to put you for the record.
And yes, Lori Brown, 6217 Dewey Robbins Road, and the Lees, Sean and Mary Lee at 6343 Dewey Robbins Road.
Thank you.
They feel the exact same way. They also have 10 acres.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Hi, I live at 23255 South Dewey Robbins Road. Moved out here to live in a rural community, okay? I'm a product 25 years ago, basically a refugee of the city of Chicago, and if anybody sees the news, you know why I got the heck out of there. I don't like having a riffraff of the cities coming out and destroying the rural areas. Also, too, we happen to do Gopher Tortoise surveys and relocations and know quite a bit about this. And when they're talking about an 148-acre section there, and you're talking about 50-foot wide lots, the front of my house is 60 feet wide. And my house isn't much different than a lot of the size houses that they put in these communities. And what happens when they go in and do these Gopher Tortoise rules, they're gonna have to go through that whole area. And I know what's out there on that lot because when I was looking for property, one section of land that was for sale, 5 acres, was one of them right smack where they're talking about this here. And then they've cleared all the trees out of there. We did a survey and did a relocation that happened to be from my builder over in Groveland, a 5-acre tract, had 50 holes on it, okay? That's a 5-acre tract. You're talking about cramming all these in here, you're talking probably a potential of over 1,000 Gopher Tortoise holes. So they have to be removed, okay? And the cost of that is expensive, which they're just gonna be passing it over on this. They wanna put that many houses in here, and somebody said that it was originally 1-acre tracts. They're trying to cram as many in there as possible because of the almighty dollar, the more they can sell. So what happens is when they go, if they don't properly clear this all out and properly relocate these turtles on that, they have to go to recipient sites. There are not too many recipient sites out there. Minimum right now to trap a turtle is $1,500. Okay, to relocate it off of there a few years ago, it was $750. Now it's $2,000 because there's a lack of recipient sites. So what happens if they don't pay attention to it or more activity starts over here? They go onto everybody else's properties that are out here. And what happens is they burrow in anywhere. They're protected. They're harmless. We have them on our property. They're like members of the family. But they burrow down in. They can affect the foundations of houses. And if anybody here has to hire and have it done, you're talking, just for a survey, $300 to trap one turtle, not multiples, one, $1,500 minimum, $3,000 minimum. Okay, now you're talking $2,000 to $3,000 just to relocate it off the property to a recipient site to do it legally. How many people right now have that much extra money where they can just go and pay that? And I don't think this has been given much thought at all. And we work really hard where we were able to come out here so we can live rurally amongst fine people like here and that rural lifestyle, peace and quiet. And we did everything the right way. And my fear is you're going to have increased traffic along this. It's already tough when you get out and go to the Home Depot in Leesburg or Claremont, drive down Dewey Robbins Road, and you have everybody out there with their bikes doing their biking and stuff, and a lot of them don't have any consideration for the people that are living there. So now you're going to cram 400 and some odd houses in there and create all the traffic. A lot of us live out here, but we're willing to commute far distance all the way into Orlando or Ocala to work. But that's the things that's the commitment we made to live out here. And a lot of people have lived out here for years and years and years. One person that spoke here said 25 years. And I'm sure there's people that live here a lot longer than that. And this is completely ridiculous. I mean, everywhere we've gone, we lived in St. Cloud where they had all this open land and things, and they decided to build a whole big bunch of subdivision on the thing. They didn't do proper drainage on it, and you're going down Canoe Creek Road, and everything's flooding out now. And now all the problems of the city, I happen to have an assistant that has a family member that works for 911 in Osceola County, and I know all the problems that are going on out there because they don't want to put that out in the news. They don't want people to be informed of what's going on. But anybody that takes the time to be informed knows that when you're putting that many houses and trying to expand a town right there, you get a lot of the problems that come with it. And I don't think people here want to deal with those problems. And I know they don't want to deal with the riffraff and other things that can happen when you're developing sites like this. And just the Gopher Tortoise situation, they're all over the place. And that's going to affect everybody else in here too. They go onto their lot, you can have people with farms and stuff, and now all of a sudden because the hole gets burrowed in there because it moves over because of all this development and all the noise that goes on there. Just on Dewey Robbins, there's people that do the U-pick blueberries and blackberries and stuff. What happens if it burrows right in there? Now they can't do their business because by law they can't go within 25 feet of that hole with any equipment. So people aren't thinking about how it's going to impact not just the day-to-day lives, but it's going to impact people as far as their wallets out here too. And my hat's off to the people that spoke before me. And some have been here a lot longer than I have.
Thank you, sir. Excuse me, can we get your name and address for the record, sir? Get your name and address for the record.
Brian Creaser, 23255 South Dewey Robbins Road.
Thank you.
Howie in the Hills.
And I'm Jen. Same address. I'd like to add some stuff. First of all, the reason we chose Howie in the Hills was because they were 5-acre tracts. And our understanding, when I looked at the land use map, it said that you weren't allowed to build on less than 5 acres, basically. So we thought we had plenty of time. We've only been there 2 years, and it's already right around the corner from us, okay? And what we were talking about with the Gopher tortoises, not only is the builder going to have a problem getting rid of these tortoises because there's a shortage. And right now, it's $2,000 per tortoise, but that's going to go up because there's a shortage of places you can take gopher tortoises right now. Okay, and so just having that activity on that property that they were showing, all the tortoises around it are going to go running. Where are they going to go running? To our properties. We can't afford to pay $3,000 or $2,000 per tortoise, plus the permitting fees by the government or another $220. But the point is that they can afford that. We can't. But all those tortoises are going to go running to all our properties. You can't stop a gopher tortoise from coming onto your property. The only way to stop it is to put up a big vinyl fence. Well, let's see, a privacy fence that's probably about $20,000 on 5-acre properties. Who has that? So the gopher tortoises are going to move in. They will burrow under people's homes, under people's sheds, and we won't be able to do anything about it because we can't afford to have them removed. Our neighbor mowed his lawn. We ended up getting 3 extra tortoises from him mowing his lawn. So you could just imagine how, a large property like what they're talking about, when they go to, clear it and everything like that, where are those surrounding tortoises going to go? They're going to run. That's what they do. We've been doing this. We see what happens. The other thing I wanted to talk about was infrastructure. Now, these gentlemen, I just learned a lot of this stuff right here. But a lot of cities across the country are having a problem with their water and sewer because it's aged. I don't know the status of Howie, but I do know that taxpayers, homeowners, not tenants, but homeowners, property owners are going to be paying for infrastructure. They're going to be paying for the increase in police and the schools. They're going to pay if a road has to be widened or traffic lights need to be added. And I understand, when you're at 5 acres, if you divide all that, maybe you're adding maybe 400 people to an area where what they're doing, it's doing it to a little tiny area. A big difference from when you can only have 5-acre tracts. Big difference. So yeah, I wonder, what about the roads? When we go down Dewey Robbins Road, this is a 2-lane road, single each way. You're going to add how many homes, and that's how many cars for each parent going down these roads? And you think that we've got dirt roads that haven't even been developed. So I could just imagine you add all these people to this neighborhood and what these roads are going to be like. And if that gentleman's correct that they can't widen these roads, and I just can't even imagine it. Downtown Howie, it's 35 miles an hour there. And it has one traffic light, or a blinking light, and I can't even imagine if you add all these people and add it to that one little area of Howie trying to drive down that road. Have you guys gone down that road? I mean, 19 and Dewey Robbins, have you gone down these roads and you can't widen them? That's going to be, it's going to be interesting. And like I said, the infrastructure, I haven't heard the gentleman talk about the infrastructure, the water, the sewer. How is that tying in? Because if Howie needs to redo their infrastructure, even without their development, you could just imagine.
You're talking about Howie in the Hills or the city of Leesburg?
Well, this is Howie in the Hills we're talking about. Our address is Howie in the Hills.
I know, but we can't control Howie in the Hills, man. We control the city of
so
limits
you're
of Leesburg.
talking about a development.
But you want to annex the property to make it part of Leesburg from Howie in the Hills.
Well, when it comes in the city of Leesburg, the developer has to go by the city of Leesburg standards. Nothing to do with Howard Hills or Lake County. When it comes to the city, we have our own standards that the developer will have to adhere to, and that's why our staff works with the developer to make sure he understands the city's codes and ordinances, and that's what the developer will be tied to if this is approved to come into the city of Leesburg.
So when the taxes go up, It's not going to go up in Howie?
I don't think any city of Leesburg commissioner said anything about taxes going up or
Well, when you
anything
need
of that nature.
schools, more police, bigger roads, more traffic lights,
We
and
don't pay for
water and sewer infrastructure, who's paying for
we
that?
don't pay for schools, ma'am. Your tax dollars go to the Lake County School Board.
Okay. What about everything else? But do you understand what I'm saying? You're talking about,
I don't think anybody in this room here probably believes that when you develop and continue to develop that our taxes don't go up.
Well, I think if you look at the city of Leesburg's tax records, our taxes in the city of Leesburg hasn't gone up. In fact, we had a rollback rate. So I think if you really look at the city of Leesburg history, this commission has been very, very frugal in making sure that taxes did not go up on the future development. If you look at Lake County and look at what Leesburg has done, we've been very conservative on our growth. And if you look at what's happening in Central Florida, growth is happening all over Central Florida. So this is a developer who's been he just showed you where he's been all over Lake County. He's now taking the opportunity to come to Leesburg and says, I want to develop in the city of Leesburg. That's why we're
understand what
here.
you're saying.
But
I
when it
understand
comes to
what you're
Howard,
saying.
when it comes to Howard Hills or even Lake County, when he decides to come in from Lake County to Leesburg, that's when our city staff deals with that developer to make sure he adheres to the city of Leesburg
that's
development
fine. So
code.
let's just dismiss the whole money aspect and let's get back to everything else. Our quality of life in Howie is being affected by this.
Well, that's why we're letting everybody discuss that, give your opinion for your 3 minutes. The developer's gonna come, he's gonna talk. This is the first reading, we're not even voting on tonight. So we're allowing those who came this far so you can discuss it tonight, so we can at least hear it without saying, let's wait till the next meeting. So that's why we're giving everybody 3 minutes tonight to talk about your concerns. But we'll be voting at the next meeting whether we approve or deny this applicant. So we want to hear everyone, so we would hope that after this, we're going to go 3 minutes firm. Hopefully you can just say what you haven't heard already so that we can move to the next item.
My final statement is that you're also taking away our voice, the rural voice. Because those people aren't rural. They don't understand what it's like to have 5 acres. They don't know what it's like to move into an area specifically because it's 5-acre tracts, and then have that American dream taken from them when it starts building up around them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else for tonight? Yes, ma'am, yes, sir.
My name is Kristen Reuter. This is my husband, Craig Reuter. We are at 23610 South Dewey Robbins Road. Definitely didn't plan on speaking tonight, but we are a rural community. You are city, we are rural. These are our neighbors, even though we don't know them, even though we are rural, we're not next door to each other, we're not an arm's length away. We live in the rural because we want to live in the rural. That's why we live there. We have 10 acres. I have horses. I love to ride my horses, and weekends, I have to deal with the sports bikes, the motorcycles who come flying down our road every single weekend, Saturday morning at 9 a.m. I can't even ride my horse without having to worry about these people speeding up and down our roads. We also have the people in the Hondas who like to speed down our roads also. And if you put in more of these homes, you're bringing in way more traffic and you're taking away from why we moved to where we moved. And I don't feel that we should be pushed out.
So I grew up in Orlando, moved out here on purpose because I was tired of Orlando. I know what Orlando used to be back in the 80s. I know I'm old, I get it, but it grew into what you're trying to do here, and it's a big mistake. Don't do it. And for you, when you said, oh, we need rooftops so they can work at Kroger or whatever, I work at Universal. I drive it every day. I do it on purpose because I don't want to live in the city. So they can drive too. That's why we have vehicles. So that's really all we got to say, but please don't do it.
Thank you. All right, so we have no other public comment. We'll move to item 6B5. It's the ordinance, the first reading. Would someone like to introduce it, please?
Introduced, has to be read by title only.
Thank you.
An ordinance amending the future land use map of the comprehensive plan of the city of Leesburg, Florida, changing the future land use map designation of certain property containing 148.67 plus minus acres from Lake County Rural to City of Leesburg Estate Residential for property generally located east of U.S. Highway 27 and on the north side of Dewey Robbins Road, as legally described in sections 31 and 32, Township 20 South, Range 25 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
This also is the first reading. It will lay over to our next meeting. Item 6, yes, sir. This one goes,
Back in August.
that's August too?
Dan Miller, Planning and Zoning. Yes, we need to make a motion and forward this to the DEO for the large-scale comp plan, please.
Okay. Commissioner Gator,
Then we advertise for the public hearing and second reading. So my guess is that probably be August, September timeframe. But there'll be another notification period for this hearing.
The notification would come through the newspaper, and you can always call our office. We anticipate it to be August, maybe September, but preferably August.
so how will the public find out? Just the newspaper?
Yeah, we'll notice, same people who were notified for first time will get notified
It would
again.
just be through the newspaper. If you want us to send out an additional notice, we can do that. The code requires the notice that we send out for the Planning Commission, which we do. But for this one, it would just be through the newspaper advertisement with the map in it for the next one.
Okay.
So you need a motion to
We
transmit.
have a motion to transmit for large scale.
Move to transmit.
Second.
Roll call, Andy.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Roebuck?
Yes.
Commissioner Bury?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
Yes.
Mayor Christian?
Yes. So that's item 5 will lay over. It has to go to the state for them to review it. Then it comes back and we'll do an advertising newspaper before we have an actual vote. Yes, ma'am, you had something? You're more than welcome to come to the microphone.
Hi, my name is Leanna Ulmer. I live at 23125 Thomas Allen Road, and that is off East Dewey Robbins Road. I just wanted to thank everyone, all of my fellow rural neighbors that have come out and have a lot more knowledge about this than I have. I just want to say that me and my husband, we did move out here to have that rural experience, to be able to have that for our grandchildren. We do have 10 acres, and you know, we're just kind of really heartbroken that, you know, we expected growth at some point to be coming, whatever, 10 years down the road. We just never expected this to be happening so fast right here where we're at now. I do feel like it's gonna really impact, you know, what everyone is trying, the type of life that everyone is trying to have out there. We do respect the fact that obviously things do need to grow, but I don't think that is the right fit for what our community is. In regards to also, there are a lot of, and this is just, I think, somewhat of a safety aspect, there are a lot of the bicyclists that come, they train, there's a lot of hills there. They go all up and down East Dewey Robbins, South Dewey Robbins. I know that's a lot of the triathlon stuff that happens with Claremont, and the bikers come out there and they will ride. They ride on the mornings. And I mean, a lot of times it's no passing because of all the hills. You have to go 5 miles an hour behind them till you can, you know, get to a point where you can safely pass them. From a safety aspect, even for them, I'm not a bicyclist, obviously, but if you put a bunch of houses there and these people are, you know, then driving on these roads to get into downtown Howie or even to go another way, I mean, I just foresee that that's going to be a foreseeable issue for people getting hurt that do ride these bikes and use that area for training because of all of the hills that are out there. So, I mean, that's just something I wanted to bring up. I don't know if anybody's thought about that. So just in that aspect as well, I don't think it's a good idea. I would, you know, respectfully ask that you all would reconsider to put it somewhere else, maybe where it's more conducive to not being a harm or a deterrent to where people are living a rural lifestyle. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Item 6B6 is the first reading. Would someone like to introduce it?
I'll introduce it. Ask to be read by title only.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, changing the zoning on approximately 148.67 plus minus acres from Lake County A agricultural to City PUD planned unit development to allow for single-family residential subdivision for property generally located east of U.S. Highway 27 and on the north side of Dewey Robbins Road, as legally described in sections 31 and 32, Township 20 South, Range 25 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Okay, this item will also lay over until August or sometime thereafter.
Mayor, I just have one question for
Yes, sir.
staff. If prior to the next reading, there was a lot of talk brought up about different protection areas, some of which I'm familiar with, some I'm not. If staff could do a summary of exactly what applies to this property and what that means, and you could get that out to us prior to the next when this comes up, I'd appreciate it.
A quick summary is basically what they were talking about comes from the Lake County Comprehensive Plan, not from the City of Leesburg Comp Plan, and I will do a summary for you.
Thank you.
So then if it comes into the city, does the county policy apply to us?
If it comes into the city, only the city's regulations and policies will apply.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Okay, item 6B7 is the first reading. Excuse me, Mayor. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh, yes, ma'am. Come, please.
I didn't hear what you said about, it's Pam Brustio again. I didn't hear what you said about going to the DEO. So is it item number 5 is the only one that applies because of the large?
Right. There are 3 separate actions
Right.
here tonight, an annexation, a large-scale comp plan, and a rezoning. On a comprehensive plan amendment that is larger than 10 acres, the current requirement is that it has to be reviewed in Tallahassee by the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity. They give comments and send it back.
And is that the only area that reviews, or does it go to other agencies as well?
Within that review, it goes to a number of different agencies, including FDOT and different state agencies.
Okay, thank you, sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry to add on. Lori Howell, I live on number 2 Road in Howie in the Hills. I just wanted to say, I think the Kroger you're talking about is going to be closer to the other huge Hanover property that's going in on 19. And all the heroes, the nurses, the police, the firemen are all young families. Their kids want a yard to play in. I know there may be community areas where the kids can go play, but sometimes parents don't have time for that. If you really want to give heroes a great home to live in, maybe lower the home price and give them a decent yard for their kids to play in. And that's it. And I agree with what everybody else said. Thank you.
Thank you. So we want to thank all the residents who came out to voice their concerns. This is what local government is all about, hearing from you, hearing your concerns, and also to the developer for listening to the concerns of the residents as well. Commissioner Berg.
Yeah, I just had one question for the developer. When I was looking through the packet on the development standards, you guys did make some allowances for larger lots, is that correct? Or what is the actual lot size you're applying for?
50-foot and 40-foot lots. So 50-foot lots are around the outside, and then the 40-foot lots are interior to the property.
Okay, because in the development standards that we had, it was the 40 was crossed out. And
That
it said
was
50 to 60.
that was not the PD that we submitted. That was the PD that the staff sent back to us with their preferences.
Okay, gotcha.
Thank you. All right, 6B7 is an ordinance. Would someone like to introduce it, please?
I'll introduce, has to be read by title only.
Thank you.
An ordinance of the City of Leesburg, Florida, changing the zoning on approximately 221 plus minus acres from PUD planned unit development to PUD planned unit development to allow for commercial and residential development for property generally located east of U.S. Highway 27 and south of Windsong Oak Drive, as legally described in sections 25 and 36, Township 20 South, Range 24 East, and sections 30 and 31, Township 20 South, Range 25 East, Lake County, Florida, and providing an effective date.
Any discussion from the commission, from the public or staff? Okay, this item will lay over to our June 28th meeting. Item C is non-routine items. Is a resolution of the City Commission. Would someone like to introduce it, please?
I'll introduce and ask for read by title only.
Thank you.
Resolution of the City Commission of the City of Leesburg, Florida, authorizing and directing the mayor and city clerk to execute a contract for purchase and sale between the City of Leesburg and the Villages Land Company, LLC, for the purpose of setting forth the terms under which the Villages Land Company, LLC, will acquire certain real property from the City of Leesburg and providing an effective date.
Have a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved and properly second. Discussion from the commission?
My concern here is, I truly think we're selling this land too cheap, and I believe we should have an appraisal performed on the property. I mean, and this is going to be some very valuable real estate down the road, and I'm just a little perplexed that we're selling it $20,000 an acre. I do understand the village's development, everything going on, but I just can't get my hands around this one.
All right. Staff, Al?
Yeah, I've talked with Commissioner Peterson on this sidebar, understand his concerns. The larger picture in this sale is really the larger picture with the partnership with the villages. When we endeavored to sell the villages, essentially the east side of the 470 Turnpike corridor, we encumbered about 1,500 acres of city property. The history of that city property was sludge disposal, land application, and reuse irrigation, reuse spray. It was also kind of modified in 2000 and again in 2005-07 for an industrial park. For various reasons, the subsequent modification to that industrial park really didn't work, but the initial 2004 CR 470 plan that was adopted by the commission in the early 2000s did work. Long story short, the city never saw industrial development in that corridor. We really never saw anything occur in that corridor until December 2016 when the village proffered to purchase the 1,500 acres from the city. Now, having said that, we did have a sale of property to Course Lab, and we also had a sale of property to, I don't know who the form was, it IntelliSteel or I think it was formerly IntelliSteel, to relocate out to that corridor. As we move forward with the villages, there was one thing that made that property developable. The Villages was a corporation that was big enough to take the city's reuse. Without moving reuse off of that 1,500 acres, you would never be able to sell it. Or we would have to do it. So in English, what's that mean? To develop that 1,500 acres of property, you either A, had to find a partner big enough who would take it from you, or B, we'd have to develop a different way to get rid of reuse. Mind you, we did get a different way to redevelop sludge application, and instead of the field application, we went to the compress and the patty issues, which honestly is a more environmentally friendly, better process of the day. In moving forward with the villages, we ultimately determined that at this time, which was now the contract moves forward to May 17, 2017, we couldn't sell the south side, which was approximately 500 acres. We couldn't sell the south side because there was no place to put the reuse until we come up with one. So at that time, we deleted the south side from the agreement, and we sold approximately 1,100 acres to the villages, which is the north, as we refer to, the North 470 property. They have moved forward. Their plan is to start developing that property in earnest in summer 22, with their estimated sales to be done late summer 23, still in what they originally promised of about 2.6 acres a unit, so about 3,200 acres. We'll do the math, about $750 million of investment to the north side, times 17 mills. That's countywide. So school is getting 6 is their mill, county's 5, we're 4, everybody else falls out. So it's considerable value. So we've always talked about the value of this sale is not in real estate because we can't sell it. We can't sell it unless we come up with a different way to deal with reuse. Through the villages we did, that opens up the development. We couldn't even do that for the industrial parcels, only a few of them. So that parcels we learned never as good as we anticipated because we couldn't get rid of the reuse. With the villages we did. If we can find another party that can take reuse, yay, or we have to go then and now design our own system to get rid of reuse water, which would be ribs, other properties. We're just not doing that for the value of the development. So it became, do you want sale property value, which is 0, you don't have it, or do we want to take a lesser value for the property and have real estate, development, and taxes in perpetuity? So we sold the property for $7,000 an acre, which did appraise in 17, and we're looking at $750 million in taxable value development. That ended the story in 2017. Since that sale, obviously the world has changed. Development has taken off. Life is a little bit different. However, on the south side, not only do we need to find a partner for reuse or do it ourselves, but in so doing, because we didn't have a place for the reuse, we put a covenant over the south side of that property that said we would not sell the so we agreed with the villages, it's what we call the 363 agreement, we agreed with the villages and said we would not sell this property to anybody else, or we would demonstrate to the villages to their satisfactory that we had another place to put reuse. They can't hold that unreasonably. So in essence, while on the surface it looks like, hey, this is valuable property, it's not. You can't go sell it to McDonald's. If you've got the villages developing all around you or other developers developing all around you and you haven't found a way to get rid of reuse on the south side, you can't sell it to McDonald's, you can't sell it to Wawa, you can't sell it to... You can't sell it without the village's permission or your ability to demonstrate that you've gotten rid of reuse. That brings down the value of the property. So instead of $7,000 an acre, I did beat up the villages the best I could and got $20,000 an acre. Now from Commissioner Peterson's perspective, I understand in the global picture that acreage is worth more than $20,000 an acre. I get it. But it's not, because we tied our hands. I don't want to say we tied our hands incorrectly, because in selling this property, there's two big issues that now occur. One, realignment of the road, and that's probably the biggest issue. The villages is coming down, their plan is they're working down from the 44, let's say roughly 44 Morrison Avenue corridor down the Sumter County, Lake County line, jumping over into our area across the turnpike, filling in the north side, and then moving back to the west and back up. That's kind of their circular growth pattern. To serve that circular growth pattern, Megason Avenue is being constructed, which is designed. Megason Avenue is essentially the extension of Morse Boulevard. So as you're driving down 44 headed west to 301, on your right, after you pass the new Publix Plaza and the new bridge, which serves the south side of development, is Morse Boulevard. That extension goes to, what's it, 648 or what in turns, but then off of that is Megason. Megason then comes down, comes down all the way through, cross over the turnpike, dump into the 470 property, and then connect to 470 just west of the S-curves. That intersection, the village's then hopes is a few other things will happen. More growth on the west side of the 470 Turnpike intersection, which is villages driven, their growth on the north, potentially revisiting the last 450 acres, our property, more growth there. And there's 3 holdovers. Our sewer treatment plant, the Moss plant, I believe it's the Moss plant, and the CR 470, Mr. Smith's property, all connected via an easement to an aligned intersection just west of the curves along the 20-acre corridor. So the sale, 1, allows the proper alignment of the roadway with the development that's coming ahead. 2, it potentially will allow development of our southern property and future sale to the villages. Mind you, just on the math, 2.68 acres a unit over the 1,100 acres we sold them yielded $750 million of assessed value. The same math is going to be true on the south side. So it's 400 acres times 2.6. That's going to be about $350 million of assessed value. So there's another $1.5 million annual revenue a year for the city. So let me throw those numbers at you too. North side, that's about $2.5–3 million in perpetual revenue a year. South side, about a $1.3 million in perpetual revenue a year. Forever. I understand the argument we should be getting 100, 120, 150 an acre versus 20 an acre. But A, you'll never get it because of the reasons I've said, and B, this sale is increased over the 7,000, and C, you get a safer road for the corridor, and D, there's future growth. With all of those, I would propose throw your hands up over what the value of property should be. Think governmentally and developmentally on what's going to get you the perpetual dollar long term. And with that, I recommend that the City Commission sell the property to the villages.
I follow that, and I do appreciate the village's investment. Let me be sure I'm clear. So we're moving the road over, so they're going to bring a road, they're eventually going to punch a road further to the south through our spray field?
Yes.
Making it more valuable, but we can only sell it to them.
It's
not a free market. We can't sell it to anybody else.
Making it more valuable once there is a place to get rid of the water.
But it's not a free market. We can only sell it to the villages. So
even
kind of hard to negotiate price when we can't sell to anybody else.
If they're only going to punch through and buy that if there's a place to put the water, or we figure it out before they do, which I don't think we will.
Okay, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. I just want to go on the record and say we are selling prime real estate at a intersection of the Turnpike and 470 at 20,000 acres, land that's going to be very valuable one day. And I could probably live with that if we could sell some, if we had the right to sell the rest of our land. Now we can't even sell the rest of our land. So we've just been outsmarted by the villages in a bad way.
On that one, Commissioner, look, we'll agree to disagree.
I mean, this is private sector versus government. We're just rolling over.
We'll agree to disagree, but I don't think we've been outsmarted by the villages. If we haven't had done this deal, we wouldn't have $750 million of perpetual taxable value, which is going to benefit this community, the county, as well as the school board, creating thousands of jobs. I don't think we've been outsmarted by the villages. I think we made a growth
I'm just
move.
trying to represent the people of Leesburg, saying, we need money to make our city better. And I just feel like we're selling land under value. So, I'll be quiet. Maybe I started out with an appraisal, but.
So question.
I thought we always had I don't even know the guidelines for appraisal. I thought when we bought or sold property, we had to have it appraised.
If we did an appraisal, would the appraiser consider the covenants that you're talking about and value the land that with the?
If it's a good appraisal, it would.
I think one thing that you left out though is the gas part of this whole deal. we don't want to sell that property to anyone other than Villages. Well, one, we can't, because you're going to spend millions and millions of dollars to get rid of that reuse, and they're going to take it for free. And two, right, so the reuse, they're going to build a nicer product than anyone else in the area will.
And I do agree with that.
And three, and this is the big one, is we're going to have gas in every one of those houses. And that's like almost as much money as the property taxes forever.
I did leave that out.
Yeah, and nobody else is going to put that gas in there because we don't have that deal. So the gas, I think, is you just like can't be overstated. And the other thing I will say from everyone, from my own and everyone else I know with Villages, if you're a good partner, they're a good partner. They do everything they say they're going to do. If you screw around and go try to get and do something to piss them off, there's a reason they haven't developed in Lake County in 30 years, right? And they came to Leesburg to do it now finally, because Lake County pissed them off 30 years ago. So, you know, I think we got a good partner that's doing everything you've asked for, and we're gonna get all this ad valorem and gas money on it. We should be, you know, careful about how we deal with it.
And I was with you, Commissioner Peterson, a few years ago, but being on the commission, 470 has always been a headache for me, because I thought it would be the commercial industrial quarter for Leesburg. We're gonna have high-paying jobs, and we ran across city manager who wanted to do aerospace, and that tanked and burned, and then we found out that reuse was an issue and how much it will actually cost, and Al left that out. The actual cost of us trying to figure out over 20,000, 100,000 per acre, then we find the reuse. One thing in the village is that, you know, they are doing what they said they're gonna do, and of course, I was one of the reluctant ones who said, you know, why do this with 55 plus? You know, there's no workforce housing going to be there to support all the residents, all the restaurants. But hopefully, when I leave, someone can take that $1 million that Al's talking about of taxes every year and reinvest in other parts of our city. So that's one reason that I would support this, because I hope that the commission will be strong enough to not allow this perpetual tax dollars to come to our city and stay in 27, but actually make the rest of Leesburg better, and hopefully we can do that. So, you know, and I agree with, you know, like we do an appraisal, and they come and say, hey, it's worth 100,000, but don't tell us that you got a covenant that until you find the reuse, it's really not worth 100,000. So that would be my only concern. I think, you know, I talked to Al earlier about this, because that was some of my same concerns, you know, but I think it'll open up some other opportunities for us down the road. So that's, you know, tongue in cheek, but I think it'd be good, best for Leesburg.
Well, but I'm not trying to aggravate the Villages.
No, go ahead.
So I'm sure I already did. That was not my intent. I'm a real estate professional. I just can't see her roll over and go, hey, let's sell prime real estate at Turnpike, a future, you know, major intersection for 20,000 acre. It just doesn't sit well with me. I'll stop right there. But yeah, it sounds like I'm on an island by myself, so I'm fine.
Jimmy got to talk.
And my only comment is that what if we don't sell it to them? Does that then jeopardize the road coming down, jeopardize the whole project?
I don't want to crush sheep, but yeah, I think it jeopardizes purchase of the South, and I also think it jeopardizes development in Lake County and Leesburg on the west side of the Turnpike. Remember, there's a lot of acreage from 470 and the Turnpike intersection west, north and south of 470 to the Sumter County line.
Right.
And that intersection in that location serves that development as well. Yeah, that whole corridor needs to look at.
And you know, I agree with Mike
and I have a
the
sneaky
price
suspicion that that's not the last time we're going to be talking about that. Yeah. But I would urge this body to do our part to make sure that that corridor gets developed, and that it develops the way we want it to see it, and the way that benefits Lake County residents and Leesburg residents. And unfortunately, we got to eat a little bit on a real estate price.
Right. Commissioner Cornell, you got anything?
No, sir.
Thank you, sir. We are talking about 20 acres, 18, and compared to 400 something plus that may come later. So
400 and plus, I think, will probably be before you in the next 3 to 5 years.
We'll be fussing again about this, maybe soon. Hopefully, we'll be talking about this again if Al can speed up. But I think it's you know, one of those things. I'm with Peterson on that. But you know, I see the 20,000 acre. I was fussing about the $7,000 acre personally. I thought it was too low. But Al convinced me. And
I don't want to
hopefully.
beat it to death. You can't compare the 20 to the 7. We all know that. I'll close with this. If somebody in the private sector owned this land, they would not be selling it for 20,000 an acre. But I'm coming around a little bit.
I had some friends in Wildwood did the same thing. They said no, and the village just built around them, so now they got some land that they could have got $100,000. They wanted 120. They now got a big old wall in front of their property. So
I'm trying to learn and understand the government side. I'm sorry, I'm a private sector guy. I look at it like, I appreciate everything the village is doing. I do understand the revenue, but they wouldn't sell us land at a steep discount. We all know that. So that's what troubles me. But I'll stop. I do not want to aggravate the villages, but I'm sure I already did.
I'm just mad my mom didn't buy property on 470 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it helps at all, but the way I think about it is we get to sell it, but we also get to keep it because they're paying us rent every year in the form of taxes.
Okay, thank you. I learned some things here. I do appreciate it.
And no, you cannot raise taxes on a certain part of the city, Mike. Gas taxes went up in there 470. All right, you have a motion? Okay, roll call. Any public comment? I'm sorry, any public comment? Alan got anything? No, nothing. All right, roll call.
Commissioner Roebuck?
Yes.
Commissioner Bury?
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson?
No.
Commissioner Connell?
Yes.
Mayor Christian?
Yes. Okay, discussion item, Pat Thomas Field Grandstand painting. Okay, well.
Well, this is actually, Commissioner Connell asked me to, I guess a couple of months ago, to talk to the commission about painting Pat Thomas. So, and essentially there's two avenues. We put two concepts in the packets. I don't have a picture up for the folks to see unless you can scroll down to the two pictures. But essentially the outside, the grandstand areas and the inside, they need some TLC. Just to paint the existing, just to repaint, and this, by the way, includes the concession stand. It's about $30,000. We recommend that you go, we kept it real simple, 2 schemes. Go back with the beige and green scheme, or go to a white and green scheme, and the white color that we would get is more of an off-white that matches this facility, so you just have some unisons of facility. That's option number 1, with 1A and 1B being the color. And then option number 2 would be there's perfect, Anna, keep it that picture, go down one. That's outside, well, actually go back to that one. So this is, that would be the white scheme. Since we did this rendering, we probably will need to flip-flop the city seal and Pat Thomas, unless we figure out a way to put the air conditioning unit that's actually hidden behind the city logo. So we either relocate that or redo the signs. We do think we should put the logo up on there to match all the facilities and kind of make it nicer looking. And Anna, if you go down one more, doing that stuff, that's $30,000. In this picture, you see it from the infield. And the next thing that needs to be done is all the metal structure that holds up the roof of the grandstand. It needs some TLC as well, sandblasting, some look-see, cleaning up. The railing that's along the grandstands all needs painted. We don't know the exact number on that because that work is pretty intricate. We think if you do the painting and let's call it the iron work, you're looking at $150 to $175. Right now, I can tell you the draft budget has $100 in the budget to do that. Our recommendation is that you take care of this facility, get it up to snuff with the other facilities that are here, and through the budget process, we can endeavor to get it done. So just like your direction on A, let it be, B, just go cheap and do the $30,000, or C, do it all right, which is our recommendation. And then I would let you leave it to staff's judgment to use the beige or the white and come up with the right match of the facilities.
I asked Al to, take a look at this and get us some estimates. I mean, Pat Thomas is a landmark in the city, and I think it should be part of our overall redevelopment of Venetian Gardens. And so I would agree with Al. If we're going to do it, let's do everything. I did ask John Myers to come tonight. He probably spends more time at Pat Thomas than anybody I know. And I just felt like if we're going to go ahead and take this on and do it now, there is a few improvements that John has that I think we should consider as part of this, and maybe do them all at the same time. John, if you don't mind coming up and address the commission with some of your ideas.
Yeah, while he's coming, you know, I spoke to Al about this too. Does this include exterior lights?
No. No, it does not.
Well,
Are you talking about exterior lots in a parking lot kind of thing?
like outside on the building? Like if I'm riding down Dixie and I look over here.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
Okay.
And what we would do on that, though, if you want exterior lights on the building, kind of dress up the parking lot, we would do that through the lease, through the electric department.
Okay.
So then you're looking at a perpetual cost. And a typical lease for a light pole, Brad, $50 a month, something like that.
Yeah, probably for the turn line.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll see what John got. See what John got to say first. But you know me, I like lights. Yes, sir.
It's all you.
Commissioners, Tyler Brandyberg, 29502 Caspian Street, Leesburg. I wanted to thank Commissioner Connell, Mayor, the rest of the commission for bringing this on the agenda today. As you said, John Meyer probably spends more time at Pat Thomas than anyone else ever. He loves that place more than anything, and I think we've done a great job the last 15 years with the Leesburg Lightning to really make sure good use comes out of it. I also serve as president of the Leesburg Lightning, and then also serve on the High School Athletic Booster Club board, probably the two main uses of the stadium as of now. I think as you all have invested so much in Ski Beach and the Venetian Gardens revitalization, Pat Thomas is the next logical step. Since we've been in the Florida Collegiate Summer League with the Lightning over the last 15 years, we've led the league in attendance each year. We don't charge admission to come in. We pride ourselves on being a family-friendly atmosphere for the community all summer long. That continues this year. Commissioner Burry was out opening night to throw out the first pitch. Unfortunately, that game did not occur as planned. We did make it up the next couple days, but we are 4-2 on the season as of now, playing good baseball, and got a great team out there. I encourage each of you to come out and see us. But to the point of what we're talking about tonight, I think the grandstand painting is far overdue. As Commissioner Connell said, it is a historic place. It was the first lighted ballpark in the state of Florida back in 1938. There's a lot of history through the Florida State League over the years with minor league baseball, and I think down the road, that's potential to get back and really bring into the tourism that we're driving to the city of Leesburg. That's far down the road, but as we sit now, grandstand painting would be ideal. There are some other projects that we think would be reasonable within the budget to continue to enhance Pat Thomas. Some safety features along the concrete bleachers on the right-hand side down third base, similar to what was done at Leesburg High School, building like a smaller step along the way just to make that such a steep step more bearable. Maybe put some handrails in along the way just for added safety. Improving the lighting in the grandstand. All those lights you see at the top of the covering there, half of them don't work. They are long overdue for some maintenance. Some fans in there just to blow some air around and help with the blind mosquitoes during those hard times would be helpful as well. Concession stand could use some minor improvements with just some recessed lighting and some entry vents at the top. The city did give us a shed out there for the concession stand grills and some coverings that have been very helpful. That GLAC through the city and through the Greater Leesburg area community charities did purchase. So we try to be good stewards. We try to give back where we can. None of us get paid with what we do for the Lightning, so any extra we have at the end of the year, we try to put back into the stadium and continue to improve the community. So any support you could give us would be greatly appreciated. We'd love to go through with Travis or you all just to show you some of the areas that could be improved at minimal cost and see how we continue to improve the entire area. But we appreciate your consideration and your continued support. Anything? Okay. Thank you.
John, did you say in your text you had sent me that the press box has got some roof leaks?
Yes, in the past couple of years, they've had quite a few leaks up there. The city has worked diligently to try to repair those. But obviously I think it's the concrete roof on top of the stadium that's actually leaking, and it's leaking down on top of the press box roof, and it's coming through. Last year we actually had a piece of the ceiling fall in on us while the game was going on. So okay. Kind of startled you when it happened.
I'm sure. You're up there in that press box all the time, John. Do you think that window unit that projects out into the front that Al was speaking about where we're looking to put our logo, could that be moved to one of the sides of the press box to get it out of the front elevation?
I don't know that you can move it to one of the sides, unless maybe you expand the press box to make it like a two-tier, if it would go forward a little bit to that railing. If you've been in the stadium, you'll know what I'm talking about. But the other thought is maybe if you put a split unit or something up on top of the roof, that would be more ideal. And that way, then it would get it off that front wall, especially with that air conditioner on that front wall. The drain drips right down on the entrance where the fans walk in. And so that's not an ideal situation either. But, you know, if we had a split unit or something like that up there where you got the compressor and all sitting up on the roof and just a blower in inside the press box, I think that would be more than ideal.
So Al, can you look at it?
Yeah, what we'll do is, it sounds like, I'm feeling like the commission's okay with it, so we'll get Travis and we'll look into it, get it a little more deeper research and get the project right for fiscal year '22.
Has there been any consideration on a marquee or anything out here at the intersection of Dozier and Dixie?
Al was supposed to do that last year.
No, you guys told me not, told me not to. I tried to get you to spend a couple $1 million on that intersection, and you told me no.
He just wants something to promote the stadium.
That was part of that.
He's supposed to promote the stadium.
The reason I'm saying that is it could be threefold. It could be for the stadium, it could be for the community building here, and any other activities such as the boat
So,
club.
Mr. Meyer, you're talking about a sign, right?
I think that
Al talking about the whole intersection.
No, well, so yes, I tried to get you guys to spend $1
million
million, maybe
dollars.
two.
That's what
with
I'm having
mass
sign
signs and
right
all that. Part of that was a sign, and I think the commission was wise enough, well, I'm not gonna say wise enough to tell me no, but you know, I respect the collective
want this
wisdom.
sign, Al. We don't want the
I respect the
intersection.
collective wisdom of this body, but somewhere we have about 100 grand squirreled away for a sign that is probably three purposes. We got the restaurant yelling at us, the Venetian Center, and Pat Thomas. So we were trying to hold off on that to incorporate it all, but it's looking like we need to get the sign.
Yeah, as long as this is kind of on the table, it's something I talked to Al about a little bit. I also mentioned to Tyler, but just a consideration of your right field fence, maybe being able to be brought in and go taller, like a green monster type thing, in order to free up more real estate along the basin that
For parking
potential. No, not necessarily parking. I'm thinking the future for development for commercial property, for restaurants, for more lakefront availability. Just if it's a possibility, just as a kind of an idea.
Well, I mean, there's always possibilities here. Some things you're going to have to take into consideration is that's where the scoreboard is located. That's also, you have a big light standard there that would have to be relocated.
Right.
So, I mean,
I got
there's
you.
more to it than just moving the fence in, so.
Yeah. Yeah. I understand, but, you know, there's also prime lakefront
I'm gonna help out Commissioner
availability, too.
Burry. When he
We
brought
own the
this,
electric
he brought this
company.
idea, he gets the credit for it if it would ever happen, but it actually is a really neat concept because if we're gonna grow the basin commercially, and I think once the restaurant's built and folks see
Yeah.
it, there's gonna be a larger demand. The next spot we have is to probably demo the health clinic and use that spot and move the health clinic out to the FOE building, which is now the Boys and Girls Club, which the Boys and Girls Club is moving to the new teen center. So then that becomes another spot. And then if we can figure out and put in a right field green monster, and I think you got some other commercial property that you can lease and really make the basin a commercial, recreational, marina attraction for the chain.
Write that in your book, man. Write that down, Al. Write that down.
That's why we just sold property to the villages, so we can get that.
There are so many, I was going to say, we can sell it for $20,000 an acre. I do fully support Pat Thomas Field and doing it right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So I like all those ideas. I would ask that we, when we're doing this, talk to the partnership, the chamber, the CDC. Like, if there's some easy and inexpensive way that would make the venue more friendly for other types of events. I don't know what that is because I'm not an event person.
Yeah.
We should consider it.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I'd love to see some concerts.
And let me jump on that. Sandy, what do you remember? Was that we had the one with the Rotary where they were going to do? There was a cover band for Jimmy Buffett, and they had the big parrot head thing. Did that get canceled because of COVID? Did we end up doing that at the stadium?
No.
It did. Yeah.
Yeah,
and
no, I attended.
It worked pretty well, right? Yeah. Rain.
It happened on the field.
Yeah.
In the
So that's
stadium.
where we can flip-flop it. I think we'll probably have some use issues in May to August-ish, but kind of the winter concert season, I think you can flip it around and have dual use there.
Now I gotta get a good speaker system. How's the speaker system?
Could use an upgrade. Go figure.
Thank you.
Well, I'll support doing it right. Sounds like we may need to talk about it in budget this year, and you can put some more money into it.
Yeah.
In fact, I wonder if we shouldn't. Sounds like we're going to spend more than $100,000 now. I'll support whatever y'all want. I mean, I'll support doing it right. I'm just saying we're getting ready to spend some money,
Well, I think
and
it's
I'm
gonna
okay with that. Let's do it right.
I think it's going to have to be more. Just the paint job itself's up 150 to 175, and then plus these other improvements. I mean, I don't know, plus or minus, probably looking $250,000, maybe more. But I think we've spent a lot of money on other major projects in the city, and I think, like I said, Pat Thomas it's a landmark. Honestly, in my opinion, it's probably a landmark amongst all of Lake County. I mean, definitely as far as ballparks go. And yes, I think it's time that we actually reinvest some back into Pat Thomas.
I think it's a great idea. Other cities are trying to build what we already have, so I think we just improve what we have. I think we can be something very special in Lake County. So I think Al's going to get with the staff.
We'll get a good number and
bring us something
an
back.
item list, and we'll bring it back to you during the CIPs, during budget workshops.
Thank you for all you guys do for Leesburg.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right. Next item is our Leesburg Police Department body cams.
Let me, I'll tee this one up for you, Commissioners. Again, we're looking for direction. The mayor asked me to put this on the agenda, and we visited this a year ago, almost to the date, in a budget workshop to purchase body cams for the LPD or not to. If I summarize, I would say I think that the feeling of the commission was we probably need to do this. We hope there will be federal money out there. Let's wait and see if there ever is. A year has passed. I think the policing issues of the day and some of the retraining and these type of things is leading to that body cameras are probably going to be a necessity in police work. Most departments are going that way, especially Lake County. The SO is recently moving there, Claremont, Tavares, Mount Dora. Chief, did I miss anybody? I think most of all those major municipalities in Lake have gone to or are going to body cams. Long story short, my recommendation to this body is that for fiscal year 22, we plan it. Having said that, we brushed up the numbers. They were in your packet. We're estimating about 75 body cams with a 5-year life expectancy, has a cost of about $580,000. We would recommend that you amortize that over 5 years, the cost of about $110,000. Then with the public records issues, you're looking at a position all in benefits and all that, about $55,000 a year, and that's to categorize, file, hold on to, retrieve, delete all the tape that will be generated, so that will be a full-time position. So you're looking at an all-in cost of somewhere around $175,000 a year. This afternoon, the chief actually informed me that the DOJ did open up a grant very recently. I think the deadline is July 4-ish. I'm going to say ish, so July 12, to that body cams would be funded. It is a maximum, though, of only about $140,000, a one-time grant, and only for 80 agencies. So my recommendation to this body is, as we move into fiscal year '22, is to budget the body cams. I think you do that between a mixture. We're sitting on about $600,000 of law enforcement impact fees. So I would use the law enforcement impact fees to cover the debt, use general fund to cover the personnel costs, and apply for the grant. We should know by fiscal year '22, if we get the grant, that will at least defray $140,000 of the costs, which would, year one would be $140,000 grant, and then I'd throw the $30,000 of law enforcement fees. So at least year one, you could defray that and then look at it for year two. So basically, we're just looking for the nod of your heads to say, okay, put it in the budget and let's talk about it some more in the workshops.
Will the villages pay the police impact fee?
The villages do pay police impact fees.
So if we generated ballparkish what that'll create?
I want to say the police impact fee, don't hold me to this. Jim, if you know off the top of your head, it's not big. Maybe it's about $150 a unit. So it's not a big number. So you're looking at $150 times 3,000.
And I was over to the sheriff's department. He did a day training for some leaders in the community through Lake County, and took some simulations, talked about his internal affairs investigations, talked about some of the issues he's having. And in fact, he went to body cams. I talked to the chief a little bit about it. But more so, he said he had some complaints. People would call in, the deputy did this, and they say, hey, we got body cams, look at the tape. They say, well, never mind. Not that anybody would ever, be dishonest against law enforcement, but I think it protects law enforcement officers as well as it protects our citizens who, if something does happen, they don't look at us and say, well, you just gonna trust the cop, whatever the cop says, but we also now have a body cam. We can back up what the officer's saying or what the resident's saying, prove or disprove anything. And then when I hear about the other agencies in the Lake County, Clearmont, Tavares, Mount Dora, and we start to talk about it being an accredited agency, the sheriff's department, our department, just talk about how we talk about transparency. I just think Leesburg shouldn't be the agency that's in the newspaper that says something happened and we had no way to defend ourselves. So I think we're far behind the body cam issues, and I know there's a lot going on in the nation, but I just think our city should have our officers prepared for any issue that they may face, and they do a dangerous job. I, of course, went to some simulations, and I shot everybody. I didn't give them a chance. I didn't defuse anybody. So I just said, I don't know how you could be a police officer in this day, because it's a thankless job, and my hat's off to the men and women that wear the uniform. So whatever we can do to protect them, protect the residents, I think the cost is not an issue, as it is more important to making sure that everybody's safe on a very dangerous job in our city. So I fully support the purchase of body cams. We can get the grant, great. We got an impact fee that we charge new residents that come to the city. So I think, we're financially sound, but I think this is an important tool in today's law enforcement environment. So anybody else got any comments, concerns?
A year ago, I was against it. I thought we could spend the money more wisely. Didn't think it was needed in Leesburg, but things have changed over the last year. I'm fine with it. I think it's smart to put it in the budget, talk about it in budget 22.
Yeah, I'm same boat as Commissioner Peterson. I would ask you, my one big concern remains is the whole, how they decide when to turn on and off, and is it automated, but did the automated ones work? And that's just something I think we need, that I would ask staff to really research, is that process.
Yeah, I spent a little time reading about it over the weekend, and they can turn the audio off, I guess, anytime they want. I think they can say they're talking to the other police officers, so it just gets back into more training, but things have changed. It appears to be the right thing to do now. I was against it a year ago.
I'm in favor of it.
All right. Commissioner Connell, anything?
Yes, sir, I'm good with it.
Okay. So you good, Al? All right.
Until y'all see the budget.
Chief, you don't need anything, Chief? All right, thank you. Information reports, financial report as of April 2021, anything that alert us to Al, or nothing? Okay. City attorney items.
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. City manager items.
No, sir.
Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioner Peterson?
Nothing tonight.
Commissioner Burry?
Nothing tonight.
Commissioner Roebuck?
You can tell the mayor's been doing this a long time. He knows to put the big ticket items at the end when we're just too tired and we'll agree with anything he wants.
Al did that.
Financial reports.
Whatever, just
Nothing
rebuild the
else.
stadium, you know? Whatever you want.
Commissioner Connell?
Just one thing. Al, where are we at now with getting that pavilion built over there? I think it's in the Beverly Shores area.
Let me square up with you on that after the meeting. We'll hit up Cliff.
Okay.
Mayor Christian?
I see Cliff perked up then. Just want to congratulate the city of Leesburg, and the Resource Center was Lake Tech awarded the Resource Center Community Partner of the Year, something like that.
Yeah, that was a neat one. A lot of I think credit needs to go to Ken for that, but the city was recognized by Lake Tech at their annual graduation, and we received the Business Partner Award, and essentially received the Business Partner Award because of the role that Ken played with Dr. Culpepper and the group from Lake Tech, keeping the Resource Center open and making classes available to folks getting their GED during the pandemic. So hats off to Ken and the folks, and that was a nice award. And I think the mayor pushed pretty hard to get that facility built, and we wondered what we were going to use it for a little bit, and that award really sums up the purpose of that facility, helping folks in need find education, find jobs, and pointing people in the right direction. So I think that was a neat award to receive.
Thank you, sir. Just on tonight, I know Commissioner Roebuck spoke, briefly on the Hanover issue, but I talk about our school systems, and I hear the residents saying about our schools are in trouble, but when you start talking about putting $300,000 houses with families and those children in our schools, I think it levels the playing field. I got a call from a principal, and she says, she's looking for houses for her teachers in Leesburg. They're living outside of Leesburg, driving into our city. They want a place to live, and so I think it's just for us to let our residents know growth is going to come to Leesburg. And early 2000s, we were the commission that says no, because 5 people showed up to the meeting, we turned them down, and they built elsewhere. And so I think our school system is now suffering because of some decisions we made. So I just want to be real thoughtful and careful and deliberate to make sure that we are looking at growth as not always a negative, but to the totality of our city on school systems, roads, and I hate to say it, but 27 is going to be a hotbed. That's the turnpike. People want to go to Orlando. The guy admitted he drives Universal Studios. So people want to get to Orlando, and Leesburg has become a place where people want to live, and I think it's a credit to our staff and this commission for making Leesburg a place and a destination. You start talking about the partnership and the Pat Thomas Ski Beach and the many amenities that Leesburg has. This is a place people want to move to. So I think our meeting's going to be longer because people are going to come because they're going to complain about people want to be a part of our city. So I just want you to know there may be some more 7:30 meetings, but I think people are going to come and want to hear about our great city. So that's all I have for tonight.